All right, chat. Sorry about that. Make sure my other camera's working. Yeah. All right, we're good. All right. I don't know what the fuck's going on with YouTube and whatnot. You ever notice? You would think it's like some sort of conspiracy, right? You would think it's some sort of conspiracy that every time I talk about, the big guys in some way, shape, or form, it just so happens that YouTube gets me knocked off. Like, seems a little weird, doesn't it? Seems a little weird. Yeah, exactly, Water Bear. It is a conspiracy. Nintendo, Warner Brothers, or Disney. Yeah, for some reason. It happens. It's from all the people overloading Nintendo's stream, telling them to drop the price. Their stream went to shit yesterday. So here's the trailer for the new season for Marvel Rivals.
To all our new guests from across the timelines, I welcome you to the Hellfire Gala.
So it's Emma Frost.
Welcome one and all to Krakoa. This living island may be a sovereign mutant nation, but tonight, our home is yours. Honored guests, I propose a toast to Krakoa. Here, there are no rivals. Man and mutant
will be exterminated. You all belong to history.
To me, my X-Men! This is a fight for our survival!
Then try to stay alive just long enough to see my way as the Age of Ultron begins.
So I have a question. So obviously Emma Frost is coming in this season and Ultron's coming in this season. Is Blade not coming in? Is Blade not coming in? The only thing I don't know is, like, I think the character model's awesome, by the way. Like, those legs and stuff and the body. But her face looks very manly for Emma Frost. Just an observation. Just an observation. I mean, look. From the other girls that are in the game, her face is very masculine. Very masculine. These leaks really just kill the hype for any of this? Oh, because they're spot on for it? I don't know. I think there's a balance. And I think, here's the thing, Kylo. I think the leaks are fine if you go out to look for the leaks, right? But if you're not looking for the leaks, but you get ruined because people keep spreading more and more and more, that's what fucks it up, right? Like, if you go to Reddit and you're out looking for leaks, and then people do it, but what happens now, because people want clicks and people want stuff, they report on leaks, they report on speculation, they report on stuff like that, so then it becomes more of a problem. Like, for instance, in our Discord, right, if you're not following any of this stuff, because we stopped really reporting leaks, okay? We talk about speculations and stuff like that because it's a news report, but we don't physically go out to look for, like, to spoil it for people. And then when we post stuff in our Discord, we put it in secret, or it's in that section where, if you know, it says, like, spoilers, okay? If you click on that, you're looking for spoilers. So if you get spoiled by something, it's your own fault type of stuff. But the way the internet works, yeah, it doesn't do it. Kraken says they're postponing Blade. They're going to make him a woman girl boss. There's no leaks anymore. It's just they have to avoid the entire internet these days to avoid being spoiled. Yeah. I mean, there was a picture already of Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, and I like to see it, but at the same time, I was like, I wish I didn't look at it because it would have been nice to see for the first time. But, it is what it is. Argus says the real fun comes when you're playing the characters, more so than knowing which ones they are in certain times. I don't know. I think we talked about this last week, Argus. How cool would it have been if in the movie Avengers Doomsday, they show Doctor Doom for the first time? You don't know who Doctor Doom is. No leaks come out. You didn't know Robert Downey Jr. was playing Doctor Doom. Okay? And you're watching the film. You watch Avengers Doomsday. You still don't know who it is. Secret Wars comes out. And all of a sudden, they get in a fight. And all of a sudden, his helmet cracks or breaks open. Or he gets torn off. And all of a sudden, you see that it's Robert Downey Jr. You would be like, what the fuck? It would blow your fucking mind. But not anymore. Not anymore. They're like, nope, let's show it in the beginning, and then let's tell you the story how it got there. It's stupid. Would be way cooler, but they want those ticket sales, so they spoil every movie with the trailer. Well, they used to spoil trailers in the past, right? Put music in there that wasn't in the actual movie and stuff like that. But I get what you're saying, Kylo. No, 48, you're missing the point. You're missing the point, right? The point is they tell you and spoil things for you before you actually see it. That's like George Lucas coming out and telling you, hey, Darth Vader in the movie, he's in Empire Strikes Back, he's Luke's father. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, I am your father. And you're like, oh, boy, that was, right? It's stupid. They tell you. It's almost like if you guys watch Dave Chappelle, he told you the punchline and then told you the joke. That's what happened. He told you the punchline, then told you the joke. They show you the punchline, then show you the movie. Right? Leaks, and again, there is no such thing as leaks anymore. Leaks are made on purpose. If they want to take leaks down, they take it down, but they don't. Because it builds up hype. It brings up the market. Right? I read another article this morning. The Battlefield devs are not worried about leaks. They're not worried about leaks. Why? Because it's advertisement for the next Battlefield. People are hyped about the next Battlefield. If they wanted it to crush it, they would take them down, but they don't. Argus says movies are 100% better experiences when you don't watch the trailers for it and don't look at any of the leaks. Did that with Deadpool Wolverine, and the movie was impactful as hell for me. Same. I didn't watch any trailers, any of the stuff. I didn't follow any of kind of the spoilers that they were showing stuff. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh my God. I was so excited. All right, let's watch the next video. We got 2 videos to watch. Okay, let's watch the Ubisoft one, which is by Laura Fryer. She's got a video here talking about, is Ubisoft saved?
Ubisoft has been struggling for several years. Their games have failed to be...
What? They've been struggling for several years? Say it ain't so.
...be profitable, and their stock price has been circling the drain. For months, there have been rumors that they would spin out or sell the company, and it turns out those rumors were true. If you haven't heard, Ubisoft has created a subsidiary that will focus on Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six.
Why do you think the subsidiary picked those 3 in general? Because that's the only profitable ones that they could actually do, but Ubisoft couldn't pay for them. That's why they needed a $1.4, $1.3 billion influx of cash from Tencent.
Also, the Chinese tech giant Tencent has invested over $1 billion in the new entity.
With what has happened to Ubisoft valuations and share prices recently, it's hard to forget that once upon a time in 2018, Ubisoft was a 10 billion euro company.
Think about that. In 2018, which is just 7 years ago, they were $1 billion industry or $1 billion company.
And then 8 billion in 2018 and 4 billion in 20.
That is the wrong way to go down a chart right there. That's a bad direction to go.
2022. So there was a lot of key risks that led to that, and one of them was bad execution in launching games.
On the surface,
That's right. It wasn't just Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was Skull and Bones, X-Defiant. It was Avatar. It was Star Wars Outlaws. It was Assassin's Creed Shadows. And that's just the last 13 months.
this seems like good news. The company's getting more investment money, their stock price is going up. Ubisoft is saved, right? Well, I'm not so sure. I think it's a little more complicated. Of course, the executives will be getting a great big payout.
That's right, Laura. They will be getting a great big payout. But all the people that get fired are not the big guys.
But what about the game developers?
That's right.
What about the people in these studios that made the games? How will it work out for them?
It won't work out for them. She knows it, right? We know it. Everyone knows it, but no one wants to say it, right? Everyone's like, well, you got to pay $80, $90 for these games, you sexist, racist pigs. You have to pay for these things, right? You got to support the devs. You've got to support the devs. What happens when you support the devs? When you buy the game or not buy the game? It doesn't matter. If they don't make the money that they need to make for the company, they get let go and fired. They already have let people go from a studio.
And how many of their leaders that drove this company off a cliff will still be at the helm of the new subsidiary?
That's right. The upper management is shit in all of these companies. We've talked about it in the past, right? The upper management in Bungie, terrible. The upper management in Rocksteady, terrible. In BioWare, terrible. Right? EA, terrible. Here's another one, Ubisoft. All of these companies, Bethesda, Arcane Studios, all of these companies had shit upper management. No one takes accountability, and who gets to lose their jobs? All the worker bees.
These franchises and teams will only be saved long term if they have better leadership. We'll likely never know exactly what happened, but there are 2 letters that leaked out of Ubisoft that we should take a look at. If you've never worked at a big company, the net of those letters is that a bunch of studios are likely saved, and sadly, many are not. And that means layoffs.
48 Gaming, the union doesn't always protect everybody either, okay? Actually, unions can actually hurt as well, because if everyone has to unionize, well, that's going to raise prices as well, and that's going to hurt them. Or do they have to have a percentage of people that work? How many hours do you have to actually work to become unionized? Okay, which would then, if they want people to become unionized, then they would hire people and not unionize them because they only make a certain amount of hours, and they wouldn't qualify for that. So there's a lot more behind the scenes of what's going on. I would have to read exactly what they have done for the unions, but I was part of a union, okay? And when the union went on strike, you had to strike. Okay, you can't be a scab. You can't do other things. You can't take other jobs. Okay, so unions are great, and unions are also not great, all depending on what scenario you're in.
Eve, the CEO, wrote the first letter, and here is the part where he talks specifics regarding the game studios. He writes, "The terms of this partnership are straightforward. We will establish a dedicated subsidiary within Ubisoft."
Look at this corporate speak. Look at this corporate speak.
That will bring together our 3 most powerful franchises, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. This subsidiary will gather the teams working on these brands primarily in the studios of Montreal, Quebec City, Sherbrooke, Saguenay, Barcelona, and Sofia. Tencent will be a 25% shareholder of this new subsidiary with the aim of boosting these franchises so they become
What's up, Paul? What's up, Hemi?
undisputed global icons. The good news is that the people in these studios are likely safe, at least in the short term. Additionally,
Yeah, safe for the short term. That's actually how they make products as well. They think about the short term. They don't think about the actual long term.
you'll notice he uses the word primarily. That means even if you're not in one of the
Not necessarily, Paul. Lots of companies don't give overtime for certain things. All depends on what type of job you have. So if you're salary based, sometimes companies make you work 60 hours before you get overtime.
these locations, there's still hope. In my opinion, what he's doing with this email is he's signaling to key performers, people that he knows are good but aren't necessarily in those studios, that they have a place in the future of the company. He's trying to retain key talent, and if he's smart, his management will go out immediately and start talking to each of those individuals, making sure that they understand that they have a
Yeah, if it's in the UK, it's by law, I believe. Sure, unless they move the company out of the UK.
place in the new organization. You see, what I found is that really good performers, people who are really good at their job, are often very humble. And so they don't think of themselves as being as excellent as they are. So even tiny, tiny changes in an organization can make them very nervous. This is really true of programmers in my experience. Some of the best ones just don't know how good they are. So if he's smart, he's out talking to these people and making sure that they're going to stick around for the future of the company.
There's people right now inside of Ubisoft that are leaving on their own accord. They're like, yep, ship is sinking, I'm out. Then there's other people going, well, I don't have that flexibility because maybe I'm new in the industry and I haven't made enough contacts, right? All I know is the people here, and maybe I didn't go outside the, right? Other people are looking for, hey, do you have an opening over there, right? This is where it's, hey, we're buddy-buddy, but it's also dog-eat-dog world, okay? Where if both you and I are working in the same company, I've been with the company for 5 years, I'm your friend in the company. You've been there 2 years. Okay, I've made connections because I've been in the business longer, okay, and you haven't. And I'm like, I'm out of here. This ship's going down. I'm gonna get a job. You're cool. Every man for themselves, okay? The person that's been there, he's like, what do? I don't know what to do. And they're screwed, okay? This happens in every business across the world.
Reading on, he says the following. The investment will also give us the means to accelerate the changes we've been discussing for several months across the group. Changes that many of you have been longing for, as revealed by the Ubisoft XP survey. These changes are in line with the initiatives that Maria Sofia has been sharing recently, which aim to put the creation of unique games and player satisfaction back at the heart of...
That's a joke, by the way. That word, player satisfaction. That's like putting non-GMO on the package of food, organic, right? That's what this is right here. This is for the people to let you guys know that, well, we're going back. We're going back to the roots, as Battlefield would say, EA would say. We got you in mind, players. We're going back to the roots. We're going back to the roots of player satisfaction. They ain't going back to this. This is what they tell you, so you go, oh well. They told me they're going to make they're going back for us. They care for us. I'm still going to support them.
The heart of our daily work. This is what will enable us to return to a higher level of profitability. I was pretty surprised that he put this in an email. I think what...
Did you see what her face just did? Hold on a second. I love reading people's facial expressions. Okay, this is nothing on Laura. Just because she read the thing. And then this is her thoughts. Look at her face real fast when she makes the...
ability. I was pretty surprised that he put this in an email.
Right there. Did you see it? That right there. That's not a face of... I'm sorry, Laura, if you watch this after the fact. I'm not pausing it to make fun of you in any way, shape, or form. I'm pausing it to show you that she read the thing. She's coming up with her thoughts. And she was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad.
Email. I think what he was trying to do is show the team that he had heard their feedback and that they would now be reacting to that feedback and doing
eyebrows go up. Yep, this is bad. This is bad.
The right thing, focusing on their customers. But that means that up until this point, they haven't been doing that. And that begs the question of, well, what were you focused on? The whole point in making a game is to satisfy the people who want to pay for it.
Imagine that. Imagine making a game. And again, we say this all the time. I've been saying this. If you guys watch me for years, make a game, sell a game. And the make the game part is all of this other stuff that people talk about. Satisfy the player, good quality product, okay? All of this stuff is in that make a game, okay? And then once you make that game with love, passion, and everything that you want to put in that game, then you sell that game. But that's not what they do. They don't make a game. They're making a half-ass minimal viable product with microtransactions or whatever else they want to put in the game. They don't stand behind it. They fix it over the next 12 to 18 months. Fix it with a battle pass, fix it with a patch, fix it whatever.
So that then you can make another game.
Let me rewind what you just said there. Your goal as a game designer is to make a game, sell a game, so you can make money, so you can make your next game.
That begs the question of, well, what were you focused on? The whole point in making a game is to satisfy the people who want to pay for it, so that then you can make another game. To make it work.
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. You find an audience, or you already know your audience. Okay? If it's a brand new IP, you need to find your audience. And the way you find your audience is, okay, let's pick the genre of game. How many people like multiplayer games? How many people like real-time strategy games? How many people like action-adventure games? Great, check. That's set. Then you have to find, what's the age bracket? RTSs. This is how many people we can get in the RTS realm. This is how many people we get in the action realm. This is how many people we get in the free-to-play realm, right? They know all of this stuff.
He has known that this is a problem for a while and hasn't actually fixed it. Where is the sense of urgency? He knew his games weren't finding an audience.
There's no urgency. There's no urgency because you know if I put something out, it's just going to sell. You're just going to buy it. But if you don't buy it, guess what? You're the problem. You're sexist, racist, misogynistic. Okay? Instead of just making a game and selling a game.
Audience. He knows his team has been longing for this change, so why didn't he do something? If you can't change the company as the CEO, that's a real problem.
I missed what she said there.
Finding an audience. He knows his team has been longing for this change, so why didn't he do something?
Money.
If you can't change the company as the CEO, that's a real problem.
You could go for short-term success. You could put something out, like a battle royale for Battlefield. You could put season pass in there. You could put microtransactions in there. You can put cosmetics and stuff in there, and you'll make money right off the bat. Oh, man, we're making good money. You see this? We're making all this money, but you've completely destroyed the brand. So you might make money up front, but in the long run, you've completely destroyed your company. You completely destroyed the brand of the IP that you're using.
Because that's the change that has been longing for this change, so why didn't he do something? If you can't change the company as the CEO, that's a real problem.
He's the CEO and he can't make the change. Everyone abandoned ship. The captain is not controlling the ship.
Because that's the CEO's job. Apparently, right after Eve's letter, Maria Sophia sent out her own letter to the team. I didn't know who she was, so I looked it up, and what I learned is that she was made the
You know, these pictures of people when they work for something is to get you visually. You see somebody and you're like, oh, she looks nice. She looks nice. Oh, she's probably a mom, a sister, right? A daughter of somebody. Maria, look at her. She looks really nice. She probably knows what she's doing, right?
SVP of Operations in 2022. I then took a look at her long list of game credits in Moby, which shows.
All right, let's see what she's been doing. 44 credits on 38 games. Okay. Human Resources in 2017, Just Dance. She was in Human Resources. Then from Human Resources, Mario Rabbids Kingdom, she went from Human Resources to SVP of studio operations for The Crew, Assassin's Creed, Avatar, Prince of Persia, Skull and Bones, The Rogue Prince, Star Wars Outlaws. That's his administration. Okay. As production, she did Rocksmith Plus in 2022, X Defiant 2024. Man, her resume looks absolutely horrendous. All of these things right here are financial failures, basically. Everything here, financial failures. Watchdog Legion, she was the managing directors. Okay. Just Dance, managing director. 2, director. Mario Rabbids, Spark of Hope, managing director. Just Dance, SVP Studio Operations. Far Cry 6, Studio Operations. Skull and Bones, managing director.
She was primarily involved as an HR person prior to this promotion. I think her
she went from HR to SVP.
Letter was meant to reassure the rest of the company, but I don't think it did. I've seen these types of letters before.
You're telling me there was no one else qualified? Nobody else qualified to take that position in the world. In the world. You took someone from Human Resources. Okay?
When you're going into a reorg or they're going to do a major layoff, and it's always filled with a lot of inspiring words that don't really mean anything, and then some concerning sentences. They try to spin the idea with a bunch of corporate words that sound.
That's why I like Laura. I would love to interview Laura to get her insights, right? And I could tell her stories from the film industry side, and she could tell me stories from the video game side. I would love to have a conversation with her. Okay. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that the agreement we have and announced is a powerful enabler and existing opportunities for Ubisoft. It will help accelerate an evolution and improve how we make games with greater focus and agility. Blah, 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 blah. You blew it!
Sound good like agility, enabler, exciting opportunity, accelerate our evolution. When in reality, it's a much different situation. With a reorganization, it usually has nothing to do with fixing the org. It's people at the top fighting and murking each other. You see, if you have a given structure and you have someone in a spot that you want them out of, it's really difficult to just move them, particularly if they're good at their job.
Here's the reason it's difficult to move them. Because let's say I'm the top, right? And let's say Paul and Sarge are underneath me. Now, I'm not doing my job correctly. Now they got to remove me. Well, they got to bring in somebody else, right? Well, now let's say they bring in Travis. Travis, who wasn't in, right? Paul and Sarge, who are underneath me, they bring Travis in. And now Travis is now the head of that section. Paul and Sarge are going to get pissed and be like, why didn't you give me the promotion? I've been here, blah, blah, blah. So now these two people that were working underneath me don't respect the next person that comes in because they didn't hire within. They gave a job to a person that works in human resources. You see what I'm saying?
So instead of doing the hard thing and proving the person isn't qualified or that they need to move, the leader just announces a reorg, and when the music stops, you find yourself without a chair. I had a boss once who wanted to move me out of a job that I was good at and that I loved. He started by trying to sell me on moving. He kept telling me I was increasing my scope, despite the fact that it was a much smaller role and had less direct report.
We really like you, and we would like you to move. Now we're going to try to emphasize you to move. And she's like, no, I don't want to move.
The new role also meant I would no longer be on the executive leadership team. It was clearly a terrible move for me, and I kept wondering to myself if he was stupid or if he thought I was that stupid.
No, Laura. He is stupid, and he thought you were that stupid.
So this part of Maria Sophia's letter sounded very familiar to me. I also want to be clear, if you're not currently working on these brands, it doesn't mean your work matters any less.
Yes, it does. It 100% does. Her saying that in a letter and making you feel good about yourself, right? You're working, you're an employee, and now you read this in an internal email. I also want to be clear, not to be an asshole, which means you're going to be an asshole, not to be rude, but you want to be rude, okay? I also want to be clear, okay? If you're not currently working on these brands, it doesn't mean your work matters any less, but it does. It does.
This agreement will benefit all of Ubisoft, giving us the means to spark more innovation and creativity across the board. This marks the beginning of a new chapter, and you play
a new chapter. Your work doesn't mean less. Yes, it does. And this is just telling you it's a new chapter, meaning you're gone.
A vital role in shaping it. The truth is that Tencent has invested in many game companies, and they picked what they wanted to invest in. It wasn't random. If you're working on another brand, it isn't as valuable, or Tencent would have picked it. Now, maybe there is some plan to save some of the other brands or to spin out studios.
I think there will be a fire sale going on with the other IPs that they're not really big interested in. The 3 that they're getting, they're saving. Ubisoft will sell off the other IPs that they're not making money to see if someone else wants to do something with them.
Who knows? But it's also very likely that these
Ubisoft employees reportedly worried about another round of layoffs. There's already been layoffs.
People will be losing their jobs. I say this because of this next part of her letter. In the coming weeks and months, we will work hard to build the best organization possible for you.
This is what I'm talking about, and I've said this in the past to you guys that listen to me, okay? Doesn't matter what job you're in. I don't care if you're working the fryer layer, okay? If you're working in real estate, if you're working in construction, okay? Always do the best that you can do, regardless if you hate your job and you don't really give a shit, okay? Make sure that you're doing better than the person that you work with. Because there will be a time that comes that you want to get a promotion or firing will happen and they will get rid of the dead weight. If you don't give a shit, then by all means, just coast by whatever you do. But personally, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in no matter what it is. I don't care if I'm digging a hole in the yard, okay, or if I'm working a fry-later at Wendy's, okay? Make sure you're the best at what you do and that no one else is better than you, because when the time comes, you will lose your job if you're just slacking around, okay? But then you become overqualified for some positions, and they'll get rid of you because the guy above you wants you gone so he can get more money than you.
For Ubisoft, for our teams, and for our players. At a minimum, they're going to reorganize the company, but likely there will be layoffs.
Everyone's going to get fired. Everyone's getting fired. They might do it in one lump sum. They might do it in small little bits and pieces, but there's a new owner, and they want to make sure they have the best people working for the littlest price as possible.
Companies like to lay off entire teams because it's a lot easier for them to say, look, I'm sorry, your project's canceled.
Start from scratch. You got to rip out the root, plant a new seed, and then work it out from there. Because if I leave a couple people in there, right, then you have people are like, well, I'm still around, I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. You got to wipe it out, clean it.
And we're letting you go. That is an easier thing for an executive to do than to go to people personally and tell them that they individually aren't performing well. It's an easier thing to do legally, and it's easier to do emotionally. So that is what I think is going to be happening to the teams. But what about the leadership?
Before she says it, I'm going to take a guess. The leadership's going to stay exactly where it is. Exactly where it is. Because they're the management. Here's the problem. If you get rid of all the people below, okay, and you bring in new people, they don't know that they're shitty managers. They got a brand new crew to be shitty too. They don't know their quirks and whatnot. So these people stay exactly where they are because as the new owner, you think the managers know what they're doing and everybody else was the problem. So they stay exactly where they are.
It's going to be very interesting to see who on the leadership team stays with the new subsidiary. If I were Tencent, I would be asking some hard questions, like why leadership didn't go for the easy layup with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Why did they make the game about Yasake instead of a Japanese samurai? Did the executives not understand that
Yes, they didn't understand. Yes, they were pushing something.
going with this storyline would be a big risk? Or did they think that it was okay to take that risk with a big budget franchise that needs to make?
The answer is yes. They were okay taking the big risk because the brand, the IP, Assassin's Creed, it doesn't matter what you put out. It's going to sell a certain amount, right? So it's almost like being on autopilot. They're just like, Assassin's Creed, that's it, okay? They're taking the brand. I said this earlier before we even started watching this video, right? They take the easy thing. Nintendo knows that you're going to buy Mario Kart. They don't have to put in, okay? Another brand knows that you're going to buy this brand because the brand is known, okay? The brand is known. So this brand, Star Wars, Disney did it with Star Wars. Disney does it with Marvel. They're like, oh, we're just going to put another Marvel film out. People like Marvel. Oh, we have the Snow White. We're going to put Snow White out there. People love Snow White. That's what started Disney. Oh, we're going to put... That's exactly what they did. AC is going to hit a certain point. But then when it fails, you know what they do.
Make a lot of sales.
Hold on, I'm gonna back up.
Would be a big risk? Or did they think that it was okay to take that risk with a big budget franchise that needs to make a lot of sales? Why did it take the Prime Minister?
Another reason there's microtransactions in a single-player game, by the way, to mitigate the risks.
Of Japan weighing in before they noticed that it was a bad idea to allow players to break tables and racks in shrines. I credit them that they fixed it very quickly, but it could have been easily avoided, and it was very embarrassing for the company. Regarding the characters, they could have tested a few to see what gamers thought. The fans of Assassin's Creed are passionate and engaged. They would have been happy to give feedback. You can test characters on paper before you ever do any art or code. It's very cheap, and it's an easy way to get signal on whether or not you're headed in the right direction. This is why I'm concerned about the new subsidiary. Okay, you had a leadership team that wasn't focused on making games for players
Making games. Yeah, making games.
and didn't understand how to manage risk around a story and a culture.
This has got to be very frustrating for her, for someone that's being in the industry. And because I know when I watch a movie or know the stuff that happens behind the movie, but in the industry, I get so frustrated because I look at it as a video game, right? If I talked about this in the past, where if you're making an action adventure game, right? Baldur's Gate 3, right? That's the standard now for that. Okay, if someone wants to make the next Baldur's Gate 3, they have to at least hit this bar, okay, and then succeed, exceed that just a little bit. They don't have to jump over it, but they just got to exceed just a little bit to make it to motivate it moving forward, to evolve. Okay, that's the problem. Sorry, Laura, I didn't mean to put you on that.
Hurry. Okay, you had a leadership team that wasn't focused on making games for players and didn't understand how to manage risk around a story and a culture. So how is it going to be different in the new organization?
It's not. If the management's there and you have all new people, everything's going to be the exact same because the managers don't know what they're doing.
How is Tencent going to make sure that they have the right leadership in place that won't make these same mistakes? Doing a deep dive on what happened and figuring out who made these poor decisions is going to be a crucial part of ensuring success in the new company. I feel sorry for the game developers at Ubisoft. It sounds like a lot of them just wanted to make games that their players wanted. They knew that, they told leadership, and leadership didn't fix it. Instead, it appears they focused on carving out some value for themselves and abandoning ship.
That's exactly right. They carved out, moved it over to save those franchises. Otherwise, they were going to be completely gone. Right? They had to, okay? They had to go look at who was going to be interested. And Tencent was there. They're like, "Oh, we'll give you 1.4 billion dollars for these three. We don't want the rest. We want cut that fat off. We don't need this. This is what we think is valuable over here." Okay? Kylo says, "Who's this bitch yapping?" Who's this bitch? This is Laura Fryer. She's been in the game industry for like 25 years.
And now a whole bunch of people at these other studios are going to be left looking for work. It's going to impact them, and it's going to impact their families. It's a sad situation, and it will take a while to resolve, but I do think there is some hope. Clearly, the game developers want to get back to making games players want. So maybe things will turn around for the new slimmed-down studio. Maybe with Tencent on board, there will be some accountability at the leadership level, and they will bring in better people. They will enable the teams to make better games. It's possible that this change will turn things around, and I, for one, will be rooting for them.
Unfortunately, it's not going to turn it around. And if it does turn it around, it's going to take so long to make it because in the entertainment industry, unfortunately, it's what have you done for me lately? It doesn't matter if you're a musician, an art, film, television, or video games. Okay? It doesn't matter if you came out and made the greatest game ever known to man. Okay? Because when that's done and you move on to your next project, you got a bunch of goodwill, but if that next game doesn't put that same type of effort in, then you're done. Okay? You're done. Because if it doesn't bring in the money, you're done. It doesn't matter if it was great. It doesn't matter if it was fantastic. Look at Tango Gameworks. Look at Hi-Fi Rush. People love the game, but it didn't sell. So now they can come out with something else, and it wouldn't matter because it didn't make money for that company. Okay? And that's why companies get dismantled or cut off. Because what have you done for me lately? You could make Fallout New Vegas, okay, and be the greatest Vegas the best Fallout ever. But then what was your next game? Wasn't that. Didn't bring in enough money for that. Right? That's the way the industry looks at it. It doesn't matter if you and me go, I thought that was a great game. Okay? If it doesn't sell and make money, then it's just garbage. Okay? It doesn't matter if I worked on the greatest movie of all time and won an Academy Award. Okay? The next job, nobody gives a shit. They're like, what did you do? Oh, okay, cool. We know you're good. Now show it to us.
If you're interested in working on projects that don't compromise quality and go all in on making a memorable experience, I think Ubisoft is exactly that place.
Let me rewind that for a second.
If you're interested in working on projects that don't compromise quality and go all in on making a memorable experience, I think Ubisoft is exactly that place.
That's terrible. I mean, obviously, him saying that's off a script and someone told him to say that. But yeah, that's not true. All right. That's Laura Fryer's video. Make sure you go give it a like. In the description down below, you can click on that link. Look, the industry is in a bad state, right? It's not just Ubisoft. Okay. I want to go to this next topic, which is Disparu. Talk about Hollywood doubles down on cinema. But I want you, I want to go to a certain spot in this video real fast. Okay, I want to show you some numbers, and then we're going to watch Disparu's video. Okay, this right here, this spreadsheet, which I can't zoom in anymore, so it is what it is. Okay, this is from 2000 to 2025 of the actual movie industry. Okay, with the movie industry, what's happened to the movie industry? Right, in 2000, tickets sold was 1.3 billion, right? Billion with a B. Okay. Total box office was 7.5 billion. Total for inflation adjusted for the box office is 15.7 billion. Okay. And a ticket price, I can't see it, is $5.39. That's 25 years ago. $5.35. Okay. Now as you go up, okay, it stays pretty even, right? 1.4, 1.5, 1.5, 1.4, 1.3, 1.4, 1.4, 1.3, so on and so forth, until we hit the year everyone got to stay home for a vacation for 2 weeks. Okay. Then the movie industry completely collapsed. It went from 1.2 billion in 2019 to 219 million. Lost $1 billion in 2020. Got another 200 million back, then got another 3 million back, got 1 million back, went down, and now it's down in 2025 so far, okay, which it'll surpass this number, okay, but I want you to look at the box office totals, okay. For 1.3 billion tickets sold, they made $7.5 billion, okay, 7.5 billion. Now, I want you to look at last year, 2024. Tickets sold 762, and yet they made $8 billion, okay, which was about 1.1 billion more than in 2000, okay, which is $11.31. That's two and a little bit more times of what the ticket price was, double the price, right? And yet, tickets sold is literally half, but yet they made more money, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's exactly what's happening to the video game industry right now, right? So what's happening in the movie industry is that movies are too expensive. Let's compare that to video games becoming bloated and too expensive, right? The movie industry has way too many movies. Not enough people going to the theater, not enough people buying the movies. Video games have way too many developers, have way too many games, and not enough people buying those games. Ticket prices in the movie industry have gone up. Now, it's only gone up double from 2000. Video games have gone up not just $5, they've gone up 10, 20, 30, all depending on what version you buy or whatnot. Okay? So all of these things are hurting the movie industry. Now, the video game industry is about 10 to 12 years behind of what the movie industry has happened, okay? So right now, we are 6 years into the movie industry where it's suffering. And the gaming industry is making the exact same mistakes as what the movie industry has done. And the movie industry can't come back from it. Theaters are dying, okay? Less and less people are buying. So when they make a game, instead of selling 10 million copies, now there are people that sell 10 million copies, like a Black Myth Wukong, like an Elden Ring, okay? But there used to be a lot more of those types of games, and now there's less. Why? Because there's way too many games out there. Prices of video games are going up. Inflation. All of these things are happening, okay? So inflation back then, right, when you made your house was $129,000 and you made $60,000 a year, okay, is different where you still make $60,000 a year, but now your house is worth $462,000 and you can't afford the house. Okay, you can't afford groceries and stuff like that because of right. Your increase of pay hasn't gone up with the increase of the living costs. Okay, so now the entertainment industry, which is luxury, okay, is hurting big time. They're getting a third less money, okay, for double the ticket prices and a third less of the viewership. So now let's look at what happened yesterday when Nintendo came out, okay? And Nintendo came out and said that we're charging $70, $80, $90, all depending on what you want to buy, okay? Not all games are going to be $80, but this game's $80, this game's $90. Physical media is gone, okay? And they're charging more money because games are more expensive, right? All of this stuff is more expensive. Well, what's going to happen is less people are going to buy your product. Less people are going to buy your games, right? You're going to raise that price. You're going to lose out on, let's say, 2 million, 3 million people for one game. You'll still sell 4 million copies, but you would have sold 9 million copies if it was at normal price. But instead, you made more money off of each individual person, so you lost a little bit, and now you're conditioning people to be like, well, it's okay because the game was fun, I liked it so much, but they lose money. Then companies, most companies, like Ubisoft, like a Rocksteady, like a Crystal Dynamics, right? Like, I don't know, name another company that's lost their job, Tango Gameworks, okay? They all go belly up because they're not making the profits. They're not making the money that the bosses want them to make, okay? Again, this is the blueprint right here. What's happening to the video game industry is happening right now, has been happening to the movie industry. And this is exactly what's going to happen to the video game industry. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Reason why Game Pass will kill companies not making true sales numbers. It's not even, look, Game Pass right now, they're victorious, basically, in my eyes, Quintar, because of what happened yesterday. Physical games are gone, okay? Game prices are going up. Xbox is still going to raise their game prices because the more they raise the prices, the more the Ubisoft Pluses, the EA Plays, the Game Passes, the PlayStation Pluses get more people to go in on that. Because regardless of what people tell you and going, well, it's luxurious and people, we're going to spend the money, the market bears what the market bears, but less people will buy your stuff. Less people will buy the stuff because it's getting too expensive and they'll just wait. They'll go buy the cheaper version. They'll go buy the sales version. The video game industry knows this, hence why they're all doing it now, right? There is no Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo side. It's the gaming industry side. And they decided that this is what's going to happen, and they decided that we are going to pay these prices, right? Which people will pay these prices, but not as many people as played before. Doesn't seem right because Avatar made $2 billion alone one of those years. Yeah, Avatar came out in what? The total box office here was what, 2022? I think it was 2022. Yeah, so $2 billion of this is the box office. See, you're looking at it 48. You're looking at it as this is the profit they've made. This is the total industry. When you see the $2 billion, they don't make $2 billion. They cost them $800 million to make the films, and then with the marketing and stuff, it's probably like $1 billion. Right? Well, I'm sorry, it's like $600 million to make the film, and it's like $1 billion, but they made $2 billion. So they probably only made like $1.2 billion profit back for Avatar. I say only, but for the industry in itself, okay, they spent $600 million, $800 million with the marketing and the budget. Quintar says, why buy a game? It's free on Game Pass. Right. But then if you look at the percentage, Starfield was played by 10 million people, but it was bought when it first came out, early access by 5 days, by 2.4 million people. 1 million on PC, 1 million on Xbox, or 1.5 million and 1 million, right? So early access, people paid the $100 for that game for early access, or you paid $30 if you have Game Pass, and they made an additional $30 off the person, right? So they made $50 off that person, off Game Pass and the early access for Starfield, okay? So they made their money from that. I heard devs don't like Game Pass. If that was true, then why are more games going on Game Pass? I also heard that people don't like making games for Xbox, for the Xbox Series S, but yet now they're lining up out the door for the Nintendo Switch 2. Seems misplaced. Seems misplaced. Considering the Xbox Series S is still more powerful. Quintar says the subservice makes the money, not the companies. No, the companies get their money up front, Quintar, because the bigger picture is if Xbox is making $450 million, rough numbers basically, $400 to $450 million a month, right? And your production of your company for your 7-year game that you've been working on cost you $50 million, and they give you, I don't know, 60 to 70% of that money up front back. You as the company can now have the option to put it on PC, you can put it on PlayStation, and you're going to get sales over there, you're going to get sales over here, plus you got a lump sum up front from Microsoft to put it on Game Pass. Kraken says Game Pass just became much more attractive. All things, Ubisoft, EA Play, any streaming service, any game service, PlayStation Plus, all became more attractive because of what's happening. If game prices go to 80, go to 90, go to 100, $20, 18, 20, 25 is much more appealing to people than paying $100 for one game. Will people pay $100 for a game? Sure. But if all games are $100, not going to work. Big Mo says it's funny because people are raising prices and stuff for anything in the industry. It gets turned into Xbox's fault because of Game Pass. That's right, Mo. Because they don't know where to go. They're like, well, these guys are doing it, right? Someone. It's like being in high school when someone does something. Well, Timmy did it first, even though they got caught. You know what I mean? Sarge says, please let the game die in your head and your speech. Just let it die. Just assume it's called the game that shall not be named. Oh, did he bring it up? Did he bring up Elden Ring? or right, only 1.2 billion. That's not what I'm saying, Kylo. What I'm saying is if you make an $800 million movie, you have to make $2 billion to make profit, is what I'm saying. Right? Not every movie can make the money back. $350 million is what Snow White was cost, just for budget. Not for marketing, just for budget. Right now, it sits at, well, actually, let me tell you what it sits at. I don't want to be wrong. Let's bring up what Snow White's at. Snow White box office mojo. Let's see. Right now, Snow White sits at $140 million. It cost $350 million. That's just for budget. This is going to lose $300 to $400 million for Disney. Captain America has lost $250 to $300 million for them. 2 movies came out in the last month and a half. They've lost $700 and $800 million off of these 2 films. Okay? Now, Avatar comes out later this year, or Lilo and Stitch comes out later this year, and Avatar might make $1.2 billion profit, which is a $400 plus on what these guys lost. So at the end of the year, the company looks at it and goes, we're $400 million profit in the green or in the black, whatever. I guess games will be skipping the Switch too, right? Right, because they can't run on the S. Is that what you're making a statement for, Kraken? Yeah, if they can't run on the S, then they can't run on the Switch too. Altern says wrong. 30 Switch 2 is more powerful because it can run 4K 60 frames per second, 1080p, 120 frames per second. Clearly, they do magic to run games to that resolution and frames. First 48 Gaming says Game Pass hurts Microsoft more than the devs. The devs get paid up front. Microsoft constantly has to spend money to put more games on it. It doesn't hurt them at all. If it hurt them, they wouldn't be doing it. But Microsoft is not just Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, and they have money in all different revenues. Think of it as their house. There's a household income, and everybody in the house is working. So that house has lots of money coming in from different subscription models across the board. The dude said, somebody said Game Pass and Mo appears. You say magic word and Mo just materializes out of thin air. It's because he said it 3 times. That's what it has, like Beetlejuice. It's like Beetlejuice, dude. Okay. Says, come on, guys. We have to support the devs. Even though games go on Game Pass, not only do they get that money up front, but they also still set full price copies. Yeah, I said that. Full price copies for people who don't use Game Pass, which is, by the way, people who don't use Game Pass make up a majority of the Xbox players, right? Not only are they making money from the people they're selling it to on the other consoles or on the console itself, but then they have the 3-day early access, then they have microtransactions, then they have DLCs, then there's so many different ways that they're making money. Avatar is a bank loan. Yeah, basically. Yeah. James Cameron, can you save us? There's 3 more Avatars coming out in 1 year, and then 2 more. There's one every other year that's coming out. I believe it's 2025, 2027, 2029. Still would have to see how much sub-services are paying the devs. Have a feeling it's not what people think. I think you think it's not what people think, right? Because I know what Netflix pays people to make a movie, and it's absurd. It's absurd. Hence why they need so many subscription models. Hence why they had to stop people sharing subscription models, and they had to get people, right? They give Zack Snyder and Dave Chappelle absurd amount of money, okay? That's because of subscription, okay? If they give them 50%, think about this, Quintar. If you were a developer and it cost you, independent developer, it cost you $10 million of your own money to make a game, okay? $10 million to make your own game, and then you have to market that game for like another $5 million. So it costs you $15 million to make it. Microsoft comes up to you and says, we would like to put you on Game Pass, and we're going to give you $5 million to $7 million up front to put you on Game Pass. And they're like, okay. Are you telling me as a developer you're not going to take that because that's 7 million copies and you need to go sell now for 15 million copies, okay, or $15 million because of what you spent? Let me do the math here. Okay. So it cost you 15 million to make the game. You're charging, let's say, $40 because you're an independent developer, okay? You have to sell 375,000 copies. 375,000 copies. They give you $7 million. Okay? They're giving you 175,000 copies sold directly up front. Now you only need to go sell 200,000 more copies everywhere else. You're not going to take that deal? And I'm just giving you an example of what they could be doing. They could be giving him money more than that or less than that. It's because they're adding a whole bunch of stuff, Krebsy. It's pissing me off because of the ad revenue stuff. What they're doing, they're pushing it and it's fucking up the system. Every time they add something, they fuck up something. Microsoft is the top 3 companies in the entire world. They're number 1, aren't they? Aren't they number 1? Or did they lose that spot to Apple? I thought they just overtook Apple a couple months ago. They might have lost it again, but Titan says, I thought Sony Music, Audio, and TV made a lot of money for them. They do. They do. That's why they buy and invest in other parts of the branch. Absolutely. Everyone thinks that Sony only makes their money from Sony PlayStation or Xbox only makes their money from Xbox sales. No, they're underneath Microsoft. PlayStation's underneath Sony. The money they make from the movies and from the television sales, they all go into the company and they go, oh, all right, what do we need? Oh, well, we need this. All right, well, let's call the guy up. Hey, we're making this first party game. Can we throw some money at us? Yeah, we have a bunch of money to use, right? There's so much money in companies, Titan. Can I tell you, when I used to do internal commercials, okay, there's a whole shit ton of production companies that solely just make in-house commercials. In-house commercials for big tech companies, just because the tech companies have to spend money. They're like, oh, we got $30 million to spend on advertisement. What do we do with it? Well, let's make a convention. Let's do some conventions. Let's send some people out to places. Let's do in-house commercials, right? And I can ask for $100,000 to make that commercial for them over the next 5 days for a week worth of shooting. Miss Watts, 100 mil Game Pass sub by 2030. Good luck with that. Microsoft. I was like, Miss Watts. Microsoft wants 100 million Game Pass subs by 2030. Good luck with that. I mean, they could easily do that. Easily do that, Jason. I've said how they could do that. I said if they took Battle.net and just incorporated it into Game Pass, that would get them another 27 to 35 million subs right there. Right? And if they add more value for other things, that could raise up as well. And if prices keep going up the way they are for video game industry, I mean, just 4 years ago, we had it $60. Now we're at $70. Now we're at $80. Okay? That's going to push people towards subscription services. The logic that Xbox can just burn all the Microsoft cash is retarded. No one said it can burn all the Microsoft cash. Krebsy. All I'm saying is that they throw money because they know they're going to make that money back, because they constantly have $400 million coming in every single month, roughly, okay, from the last number that we knew about. And that's just off the subscription service. That's not from sales. That's not from microtransactions. That's not from anything else. That's just from the subscription service. I don't know about that number. You would have to show me proof for that number, Mo. They haven't come out and said that, so anyone saying anything more than 32, 35? Let's see. It wouldn't work way for other companies, though. The other game platforms would fail as companies if they did it. Microsoft is the only one that wouldn't, because of what they've already put in place, Argus. If it was just Game Pass wouldn't make it. But because Game Pass is subsidizing basically from other things, and then there's all other revenue, that's why it works. That's why Game Pass works, because there's the other models that they have going on. Yeah, the last time they said it was like 30, I think it was like 32 to 35, right? It might be 34. You can say whatever number you want. Until I see an actual number, doesn't matter. It doesn't mean they would. It doesn't mean they would acknowledge it. 48. It doesn't mean they would acknowledge it, because maybe that's not where they want to be at that point, right? If it was 50 million, so for instance, Disney Plus did this, right? So during COVID time, they were just starting off their streaming service, and they wanted 100 million subscribers by, I think it was like now, it's like 2025, okay? But they got that within like 7 months. So as they were getting people, they were streaming from the hilltops, but they didn't want that many then. They said they were going to get that many in 5 to 7 years. Well, that didn't happen because pandemic happened, and all of a sudden it shot up. And they surpassed and got 100 million within, I think, 7 months. It's like 6 or 7 months, whatever it was. So they screamed from the hilltops. They only scream from the hilltops if it's surpassing their expectations where they want to be. So my point here is, if Microsoft thought that it was going to be at 50 million at this point, then they would tell you it's at 50 million. But if it's at 40 million or 45 million, okay, or 50 million, but they thought they were going to be at 70 million, they're not going to say shit because they're still behind. Argus says, yeah, Mike, I mean, the parent companies, Microsoft could survive running Xbox at zero profit. Not would do. Other game platform companies would not be able to do. Right. Phil looks too rough for Game Pass to be a success. Phil looks actually healthy now. He was a fat fuck before, and now he lost weight. I mean, you look at him being sick. I don't see him looking sick. I think he's looking actually much healthier, which might look like he's sick because he dropped about a fucking 80 pounds. I know we're conditioned to look at people that are like plumpier and they look healthy, and when they lose weight, they look sickly, but I don't think he's sickly. Argus says, if that was the case for Game Pass, Nadell would also have already stepped in to put a halt on some of the actual games coming to Game Pass or Game Pass as a whole. They got a plan placed and working the way it needs. I mean, I think they have a plan. I don't know if it's working as intended right now, but it's moving towards that direction, I would think. All right, I want to watch this video because I watched it a little bit yesterday, but I didn't get to watch it all. So this is about the movie industry. So let's watch Disparu talking about how they're trying to save the movie companies.
CinemaCon, where the people that destroyed the industry pretend they know how to fix it.
They're snakes, of course.
You can tell this is a serious, knowledgeable organization by the fact that their titles for their panels...
If you guys don't know, CinemaCon, they showed a whole bunch of movies coming out next year in 2026, from like Clayface to Shrek 5 to Doomsday to Mario 2. Like I think they showed like 20 movies or so.
Take longer to read out.
Trailers, by the way. Announcements, not actual movies.
Than they do to attend. Refreshing the future, navigating Gen Z trends and industry insights for movie theaters and empowering the next generation of cinema. In other words, how do we get customers? We keep making all these radical, extreme, ideological movies for the kids, and they don't go and see it. How are we supposed to indoctrinate them when they don't?
Well, you got to make popcorn buckets, Disparu. You got to put really cool popcorn buckets. That's how they're going to go back to the theater.
Don't even turn up for the propaganda. That's what I want to know. And we know people aren't turning up because, as you can see from 2020, the number of tickets sold went down to a sixth. And as they had recovered to last year of being 762 million, we are nowhere close to the 2019 figure of 1.2 billion, which before that was pretty stable. And if you look at the inflation adjustment...
Wait a minute, did he just show 1995?
19 figure of 1.2 billion, which before that...
1995 is the exact same amount of money in 2019, and the ticket prices were $4.35. Jesus Christ. Do you understand? That's 1/3 less people watching a movie. And it's almost triple the price.
Pretty stable. And if you look at the inflation-adjusted figures, it's even worse. Also, as they've increased the average ticket price over this time, the tickets sold being just 62% of 2019, as what really shows how screwed cinemas are. CinemaCon, then, is Cope Central. We're going to talk about how important cinemas are, what the cinemas can do to fix the problem, and entirely ignore what the problem is. The studios, the movies, and the people that are making them. This is worse than just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. This is blaming the deck chairs for its sinking, and thinking that if you reupholster them, you'll float better.
It's a frame!
The place started with a Tom Cruise video message, talking about the importance of putting people on the big screen. And Tom did this, not by turning up at the convention. Instead, he projected his face onto a big screen, doubling down on the message.
Hey, I don't have time to show up to tell you to come to the theater. I put my face on the theater.
Or CinemaCon being so irrelevant, there's no point turning up. I'll leave you to decide. Seeing movies on the big screen can change lives, but going to CinemaCon can't. The cultural impact...
Right, imagine that. You want people to show up into theaters, and yet you're speaking about this, but you don't show up yourself. to tell people why they should show up to theaters. Cool. I mean, that's an interesting way to go about it.
Of movie theaters can't be matched. The story of cinema is an iconic one, but it's only just begun. Let's ignore the fact that these comments are basically about movies, not cinemas. It's the story and the moral values of the story that leave the impact, not the location you were when you witnessed it. If anything, that message is severely degraded when surrounded by people who can't shut up eating. Or worse, the quality of home technology is advanced to a point now where it beats the cinema. Because
It does. But you guys know where I stand. I love going to the cinema. There's just something about it that I love, and maybe it's because I grew up watching movies, lots and lots of movies, and in 1995 when I was in high school, $4.35, I could go see a shit ton of movies. I can go see 3-4 movies a week. Okay. Now I'm like, it's one.
It's made for you when you're not dragged down by other people. Even a normal computer monitor, you sit so close to it, it's effectively bigger than a cinema screen. This is why they are determined to bring back
they should bring back the 45-day. I don't know what he's about to say, but they should bring back the 45-day, because what's happening is at least you would make some sort of money if it's the little as it is. But even if it's not showing in theaters for 45 days, make the money you can in theaters, and then 45 days later, then you can put it on other things. But if people know, it actually should be longer. When we were kids, it would take a year and a half before you saw it, because it would be in the theater. Then it would go to like HBO or some sort of service like that, and then it would go to VHS, and then DVD.
45-day baseline window. Only in theaters. Because if we can't hold a movie hostage, you won't go.
Some of those people are going to stay for a
Tell
second.
it to the judge. The judge is the public.
You're not really selling me on theaters by this message. We need a system that...
No, he's not selling on the message, but I do believe that movies would succeed better because there is a FOMO, I guess you could say, that because what's going to happen is if I'm not going to go to the theater, then they have to raise the price of the ticket that you're going to watch on the television. And because there's a streaming service and you're only paying that money for the subscription service, that's where it all falls apart. If you want to pay and watch it at home, then they have to charge a premium price for that, which they used to do in the past. It would be thousands of dollars to get a theater. Like, it would be in the theater. You could watch it at your home. There was a projector company that you could get this projector rented at your house, and it would cost you $30,000, and you could watch the same movie at the same time in your house. Then it went down to like $5,000. Then it went down to like $2,500. But there has to be a premium price. You can't say that we're going to put it in theaters and then put it on Disney Plus like they did for Black Widow, because why would anyone go to the theater?
That recognizes our common goals and does not pit one sector against another for a short-sighted quest for immediate financial return at the cost of long-term success. A compelling movie will...
Wait a minute. We need a system that recognizes our common goals and does not pit one sector against another in a short signal quest. Right. Okay.
Quest for immediate financial return at the cost of long-term success. A compelling movie.
Right. Don't go for the quick money. Go for the long term, which I said for gaming as well.
Movie will do just as well, possibly better, with a 45-day window as it would 20. A clear, consistent period.
Compelling movie is said it will do just as well, possibly better, on PVOD at 45 days as it would at 20. Well, this is a complete different conversation now. A good movie is a good movie. If a good movie is in theaters, it'll make money. We've seen this, right? Spider-Man did well, right? Joker did well a couple years ago. Like, make a good movie, sell a good movie, right? If it's good writing, good filmmaking, then people will watch it. It doesn't really matter how long it's in theaters for. It would make more money if it's in theaters longer and if it's a good film, but it would make less money in the movies if it was a shitty film and stayed in theaters longer.
Of exclusivity is essential to theatrically released films being successful. It is the bedrock upon which our collective prosperity is built. Doubling down on ancient ideas.
It's almost like saying, exclusives for video games for a console.
Is basically all they've got. And while I think he's correct that the video on demand will do just as well no matter what it does at the cinema, that is because the home experience is so superior to the cinema in the first place.
You just have to charge a premium price. You can't put it on a streaming service right away. I would be okay. Look, I would be okay if it came day and date on your television set and it's $20, right? Because if I go to the theater, it costs me $11 per person. If I'm watching it over, sure. Can I invite the neighbors over and we have like 20 people in the house watching a movie? Sure. Okay. but there needs to be some sort of, you can't just charge $10 for the streaming service and then put brand new movies on there.
I actually think it's quite damning that the only way you can make a movie successful at the cinema is if you hold it hostage there. Because if people have any other way of watching it, they will.
Of course they will.
despise the cinema
Convenience.
so much, they don't want to go unless they have no...
No, it's 45 days. 45 days. After 45 days, like the 46th day, Sarge, it could be on. It means you can rent it or whatever. Right? Right now it's 14, 17. I think it's 14 or 17 days. Right? They did that like 2-3 years ago. They're saying 45 days, meaning if it's in theaters, it's there for 45 days, and then the 46th day, you could rent it.
No other option. I don't think that's a healthy business strategy or a healthy business, where the only way you can exist is by forcing your customers to do something they don't want to do. You're going to have to provide them something incredible quality to make them go over that extra hump. Maybe they would have watched it on streaming if it was a worse quality movie, because it was easier to watch. But cinemas require a higher quality standard to get them through the door.
That's right. You have to make a good movie. You have to make a good movie. First, make a good movie. Then worry about the sales.
Everyone feels the pressures of today's marketplace, but clinging to the norms of a pre-2020 world threatens the overall health of the industry. What you're pissing doing? Rather than talk about budgets or how the wages...
Exactly, right? He's saying clinging to the norms of pre-pandemic world would also be contemporary adjustments of during the time. Theaters or overall health is great. Is this great for the industry? Look, it's not our fault your budget of movies. Your writing sucks and you're spending $350 million making a movie. Okay? You can make a good movie for $50 million. Okay? Again, you can still use the same thing for video games, right? Me and Sarge just played through Split Fiction. We finished it after 4 weeks, okay? We only play like 2-3 hours a night, okay? So we played the last 4 weeks on Wednesdays. We just played through Split Fiction. Fantastic game. Fantastic game. Okay, game of the year. It's my hands down game of the year for this year. Okay, such a good game. $50, $50, and Sarge got to play with me. They didn't charge $80, $90, $100 early access microtransactions. $50 for the game. Good story. Great game. Gameplay, mechanics, everything. Blow your mind. Okay, that's a good game. That's a great game. That's great value for what it is. And they didn't spend $350 million making that game.
Overall health of the industry. What you're pissing doing? Rather than talk about budgets or how the wages that you're paying simply aren't viable anymore, rather than working out how to actually make things for the streaming era, instead, the only option the guy has is, let's put it in cinemas for longer. But the customers don't want to go to the cinemas. Tough.
It's not that it's in there longer. It's just after 45 days. Right now, after 17 days, it can go to a streaming service.
We'll make them. I hope you've got all those irresistible...
They're missing out on the DVD sales as well. There's no DVD sales. That's completely fell off the cliff. It used to make money up front with the opening weekend, right? Then it would stay in theaters for a little bit. Then they would make a subsidiary money of DVD sales. That would boost it back up because if it was a good movie, people saw it in the theaters, people would want to buy the movie and then own the movie, and then they would go rent the movie.
Bangers lined up at the cinema then. You want to force people there? Like you think they don't have a choice? Oh, if we don't put it on streaming, they'll have to go. That's not how any of this works. You're dealing with people, not data. You have competitors now. For instance, YouTube may now be worth $550 billion. And it's
YouTube may be worth $550 billion. You guys can't get a goddamn stable internet connection. Thanks, YouTube.
Revenue could soon surpass Disney. The exclusivity window for cinemas only mattered when there wasn't really much else to do, so people went there as a form of entertainment. But if they don't want to go to the cinema, and you're not providing them what they do want, where they want to watch it, they'll just go somewhere else. No one's forced to go to the cinema when they can just watch one of the biggest...
So you shouldn't be forced to go to the cinema, right? No one's forcing you to go to the cinema, but if a new movie comes out and it's a good movie, you watch it on a bigger screen, you have a better experience, but the theaters have to come up with better experiences. They have to do that, right? First, the production company has to make a good movie. Then they hand it off. It's like a relay race, right? It's like a relay race, right? Make the movie first, then put it to the theaters, and then the theaters push it out there, and people are like, oh, this is a really good thing. Then they hand it off to the DVD sales, and then or Blu-ray, right? And then they hand it off to streaming services. That's what they should do, but that's not what they're doing.
Entertainment platforms on the planet at home. And one of the major issues with making something successful on streaming isn't the fact it's on streaming. It's that you spend too much pissing money on your movies.
That's right. If you didn't spend $350 million, you could make 6 movies. What did Godzilla, was it Godzilla 1? Is it year 1 or just 1? $6 million. $6 million. Okay? That movie cost $6 million. It made over $100 million for that film.
Figure out how we can right the ship. Stop paying actors $20 million to appear in a movie.
-1. Thank you, Sarge. Godzilla -1. Thank you.
Just an idea, folks. If an actor can't bring in $20 million of ticket sales just by their very presence in the cinema, they're not worth $20 million, are they? Is this guy's idea of don't give the customers any choice really worth the amount of money that you've paid him to say it?
So, what do you think?
I think it's a beautiful lie.
Movies are getting expensive as the audience...
Exactly, Wolverine. That's exactly right. Meanwhile, Snow White's $250 million, it's actually $325 million, is a small country's GDP.
fragments, even as technology sends first reactions around the world in a nanosecond.
Here's the problem. You could use the volume, right? And you could go to a location and film there, and it saves time and money. But it's not saving time, or I'm sorry, it's saving time, but it's not saving money. They're charging a premium price to use this fucking thing, where you could literally get on a plane, bring the whole crew, and then film it there, right? There's a whole other back part of this, right? Because these rooms that they have, the volumes, which there's a couple of them around the world, instead of people now bringing infrastructure to like areas, like over here in Orlando, we had 12 feature films back in late 2000s, like 2007 to 2010. We actually had 25 feature films here. Do you know how much money that brought in to the area? Do you know how many people came out from different crews and different things, and local restaurants got money, right? The tolls made money off of these people, right? All of this happens. But now, with these rooms and volumes, okay, they were costing $350 million, and they were cooking the food themselves and doing all the stuff themselves, so they weren't sharing the money, right? They were just using it interior where they had camps set up and no one could leave and no one could do things. And now they have them in the studios where no one's paying for location scouts. No one's paying for extras around the area. They just use them, right? Let's call up the guy who's on the list. Yeah, come on to the soundstage. It's crazy. There's so much money being wasted. You know who should look into stuff like this? Doge. Doge should look into the movie industry and see how much money they're wasting per film.
See, that implies that's a negative. What it means is everyone knows the truth about what you produce instantly. You can't lie to them anymore. Your 45-day exclusivity doesn't bring people in because they know what they're going to get before they get there. That means you don't get the benefit of the doubt. What you have to do to get people in the cinema is make a good movie.
That's right. That's all you have to do. Let them say it again. It's not about keeping the movie in there longer or not. It's about making a good movie. Get a good script, make a movie.
You don't get the benefit of the doubt. What you have to do to get people in the cinema is make a good movie. You have to give the customers what they want, because if you're not, they know before they've seen it. You can't...
Remember the days when you watched the original movie in theaters, but then they made a sequel to a movie, and it was straight to VHS or straight to DVD? There's no difference now what Netflix is. Straight to the bargain bin. Straight to, you're like, this is a cinematic movie or a Showtime movie. This is an HBO movie back in the day. It's like a lower budget, not as high price, not as That's what's happening now with all of the movie industry.
Produce trash anymore and people give it a go and see because they don't know any better. Bet you won't say that though. No, the bigger story here is the economics. What's the value proposition? He doesn't mean for the audience. How do you make movies that net a studio money in today's economy? The fact they're blaming the economy rather than their own quality of product kind of tells you everything you need to know about their knowledge base. They see everything as a function of numbers and data, and not that people have personal choice, that they have to win over the customers, that they owe something to the customers for the money. No, I produced the Marvel movie. You should see it. It's only in cinemas.
You know what would have got people to go... We just talked about it earlier. Do you know what would have got people to go to the movies and see Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, if we didn't know Robert Downey Jr. was in it? And then all of a sudden, people are like, holy shit, it's a good movie. And there's something that happens in there, man. You got to go watch it. It's a must watch. It's a good film. Great script. Good stuff. Nope. They tell you the stuff ahead of time, and you're like, well, you got to come because he's in it.
Why aren't you seeing it? Not like you can go anywhere else and watch it. The fact the customer has to be won over doesn't seem to factor into any analysis. It's much different than streaming companies that have a different kind of funding. It's the same funding. If the customers don't find enough value, they unsubscribe. They just have the benefit of collective value for their streaming platform rather than your individual platform for your movie, where the value proposition is individual and you have to hit it every time. Streamers get multiple chances to hit that value every month. We have to figure out how we can right the ship. I think we'll get there soon. We have to. We don't have a choice. This is no better than Rachel Zegler manifesting.
Keep manifesting, ladies.
That's the same as the...
I'm sorry, that was funny.
A choice. This is no better than Rachel Zegler manifesting.
Keep manifesting, ladies.
That's the same as they'll go to the cinema. If we don't give them any other option. No, there is another option. You could not right the ship and you'll go bankrupt. Marketing is a massive challenge for films and cinemas. I sit right there in the middle. The dollars we spend are, in much cases, much greater than we've ever spent before, but the effectiveness, much less. When you look at those numbers, quite frankly, it keeps you up at night. It keeps me up at night. If I have a big, fat, steaming product from the back end of a dog and spend fortunes trying to get you to eat it, you're still not going to eat it.
No, because it's still shit.
The problem isn't the monetary number that you're putting into marketing. It's what they're marketing and who's marketing it.
Right. So you spent $400 million or $300 million for shit. Then you spend another $300 million to market the shit. But at the end of the day, it's still shit.
It's the ideological basis of both. But they're like, I spent $1 billion on marketing.
Right. I spent the money, so obviously it's good.
It's getting less value than the other $1 billion.
They're trying to manifest a good movie instead of just making a good movie.
They only see things in numbers, and so they can't understand any other effects because they're not on a spreadsheet for them. We're looking at how to get the audience. So far,
we're looking as the industry, how to get the audience. Fucking cue in. Like, what are we talking about?
You serious?
Stop it. Get some help.
How do we get the audience? Make a good movie. Make a good movie. Get a writer to write a good movie. Fucking A.
You've come up with, don't give them a choice. Well done. Like they don't have other choices. In fact, you have to hit a bullseye right in the center. Information gets out in a nanosecond, and it can really kill a concept you might have been working on for a long period of time.
Just make a good movie. If it's a good movie, then it'll sell.
That doesn't make any sense.
Many people struggle with this on for a long period of time.
That doesn't make any sense.
Many people struggle with this. The amount of time you put into something, utterly irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the end product. Is it good or not? But they think the problem...
Right. You could put something out, and you could have put up 1 month into it. If it's good, it's good. If you put something, and it was great, and in 2 months or 6 months, if it's good, it's good.
Problem is that information getting out in a nanosecond can kill their concept. But yeah, if your concept is awful, you need to make people that have concepts the audience likes. So when the information gets out about that great concept, the audience loves it and they want to see more of it. Whereas they're treating it almost like information is a disease, like the connectivity is a disease.
Right. They're like, they saw our movie, they don't like it. It's because it leaked. No, it's because it looks like shit.
Because if you find out what they're doing, you'll know you won't like it. This was cinemas in the past. Well,
and when they find out that you don't like it, we know where they go to. We know what they do.
Produce crap, but because nobody knew what it was, they went and saw it anyway. Now you're dealing with an audience that knows what they're going to get, that knows what you're trying to force down their throats. Well, that's a problem.
This is bad. This is really bad.
Warner Brothers has had a few failures. What did we do wrong?
A few. Warner Brothers should go down as a tale to tell people in the future of how not to run a company. They're failing with movies. They're failing with video games. They're failing with comic books. They are failing with toys. They are failing. Like, if Trump was speaking right now, they're so successful at they're the best at failing, right? They're the best at failing.
wrong? What do we do next time? How do we overcome it? There's so much frustration of not being able to reach an audience. It's because there's not an audience, there's the audience. Who are the audience and make
So
stuff
good at failing.
for them. Doesn't matter what you want. I don't care how much of an artist you think you are. Your desires around entertainment are irrelevant. The customers matter. Give them what they want. It's actually in the studio. They're like, I want to be an art. I don't care what you want. Shut up. Make a movie for the people. That's where the money is. The market is so fragmented.
First they were mad. Tall people were going to play the dwarves. No, first they were mad. No, don't tell the truth now. First they were mad because Peter Dinklage came out and said that dwarves shouldn't play dwarves and stop stereotyping people. Then they showed the group of people, which was then identified as the bandits, that weren't the actual thing. And then they found out they were doing CGI, okay, and they looked absolutely horrendous.
Fragmented right now because you've got competition. So you've got to up your game. A hit marketing plan one month can't be replicated the next. Yeah, the plan that worked for Barbie wouldn't work for a...
Yeah, that part, sorry. Well, it's like a bad game of telephone, so we just got to make sure we get the telephone correct.
Working man, because they've got different audiences. One way around that would be to pick an audience and stay with it. We're really trying to focus on how we can connect and relate to a specific audience. But the information is spreading, so it's really hard to keep those messages separate. And it's very expensive. That's interesting, isn't it? Why would you need to keep them separate? Unless you're trying to play both sides. That would be weird. So you've got two competing messages and two competing...
Alice said the bandits had a little person, which is even crazier. Yeah. Can we just get 7 of those? Can we get 7 of those, guys?
Ideologies, and you're trying to appeal to them, but stop that. Yeah, you can't simultaneously crap on a group of people and then get them to watch your movies. Yeah, it's strange how that works. Once again, their issue is, well, you know, we keep telling people what we think of them, and they find out. Notice how he's talking about how marketing is difficult because information is spreading. Point...
He's talking about... Oh.
They find out. Notice how he's talking about how marketing is difficult.
Marketing is difficult because
information is spreading.
That's marketing. Marketing is so difficult because information is spreading. Yeah, you fucking moron. That's how it works. That's how it works. Marketing is about spreading information.
Point of marketing. Your marketing spreading easily should be an advantage, unless your problem is the truth. The truth.
So it's so dumb. They say the dumb things out loud.
Keeps getting out and going against how we're marketing it. But our biggest challenge...
My biggest part about working in the marketing department is that my stuff keeps getting out marketing. My marketing keeps getting out. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to stop my marketing from getting out for getting the information.
Is how much money we're spending. And then thinks that the reason people don't go to the cinema is there's ads at the start. They are incredibly annoying, and quite frankly, if you're making 10p for me sitting through ads, just add it on the ticket so I could save half an hour of my life. But that's not the reason.
Do you see why there's no such thing as leaks anymore? Because it looks more realistic when someone comes out and says, "Oh, I just saw the movie. I saw a leak of the thing. It's so good." And it doesn't get taken down for anything. Movies, TV shows, video games, if it never gets taken down, it's not a leak. If it actually gets removed off of the platform, then maybe it's a leak because they can make it look like it's a leak, then take it away to get more buzz about it. And everyone's like, oh, it must be true.
People don't go to the cinema. And cutting ads will not suddenly massively increase people going. You could sit at home and not watch any commercials, but if you go to the cinema, you get commercials. It's counterintuitive. Same as anything, though.
Wait a minute. What does he say there?
The cinema. And cutting ads will not suddenly massively increase people going. You could...
Yeah. If you get rid of the ads... We talked about this a couple weeks ago, a month ago, right? If you don't want to watch ads in the theater, then it's not like you have to save your seats. Right? You can save your seats ahead of time. You pick the seats that you have, and the show starts 15 minutes after the show time. So if it says 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 3:15, 3:20. So if you don't want to watch ads, then just show up after the ads. You have a choice to not watch ads.
You can sit at home and not watch any commercials, but if you go to the cinema, you get commercials. It's counterintuitive. Same as anything, though. You go to a cinema, you got to sit there with other people. I sit at home, I don't. This is the same reason people pay thousands for a car rather than going on a bus. And yet, the less...
It's true. That's true. He makes a good point there.
It's counterintuitive. Same as anything, though. You go to a cinema, you got to sit there with other people.
Some people like people. Other people don't like people. And that's why it's a choice if you want to go to the theater. Okay? And if I see it with the theater, there's that vibe. Like if I watch a movie by myself and and something cool happens, only I see it, right? But if I'm in a theater and something cool happens, I'll bring up that Captain America moment in Endgame where he's like, he grabs and grabs that, and everyone's in the theater's like, yeah, you know, that's infectious. Okay, so if you like that stuff, cool. If you don't like that stuff, also cool. But there's something about going to the theater when stuff like that happens. But if it's just a stupid movie, you're like, okay, right? Then you start focusing on other things, right? If it's a bad movie, then you start noticing the guy next to you eating nachos, right? Or the person opening up a bag of Doritos, or someone banging bottles of beer together, right? You start to break away from the immersion of the film because it's a shitty film, and you start looking at the stuff around you.
At home, I don't. This is the same reason people pay thousands for a car rather than going on a bus. And yet, the lesson that all these people take from their data without thinking about the people or the choice.
It's a big brain move there, Robert. Go to the movies 2 weeks after launch and have it all to yourself. There you go.
Or the ideology of what you've been pushing into things.
The industry talks a lot about.
Oh, absolutely, Wolverine. Unfortunately, those moments are behind us.
About identity.
None of that is even considered. All they see is we're spending more money and we're not getting return. Herp derp must be the cinema. And so you end up with really bizarre stories about how we're going to change cinemas. And if we force people into the cinemas and then have cleaner bathrooms, we'll be profitable. Cleaner bathrooms, fewer trailers. How can you bring audiences back? Now, of course...
Isn't it early access? 5 days early access now, if you paid for it?
It starts with how there are movies that people liked, which got people into the cinema, and then there are movies that were ass, which didn't. We're never going to blame that on the quality of those movies, or the messaging of those movies. Because remember, Folio of a Jew isn't a badly made movie. It's not even a poorly scripted movie. It is the messaging of that movie which kills it entirely. It is the intention and the theme. It is how it makes the audience feel, which is the problem with that movie. But there was no consistency to assure Hollywood that moviegoing remains a way of life. If you produce crap movies, they die.
Now, see, the Joker movie, this is a perfect example of what the industry does. They made a one-off film. They said they weren't going to make a sequel. This is a one-off film of the Joker film. It made a shit ton of money. Low budget, made a shit ton of money. Then they decided to make a sequel to the thing they said they weren't going to make a sequel to. Why would they do that? Because now the brand worked, and they don't want to be original, so they try something new, and they made it a fucking musical. And it bombed. It did the opposite of what the last movie did.
If you produce good movies, people go. There's no assurance in Hollywood. This year, 2025, have been positioned as a great... I mean, I'm not even sure I could say that. I might get one of those blue boxes beneath the video. But so far, the box office are grim. But we're hoping attendance will pick up soon because we've got a load of sequels. One of the interesting points from the CEO of Regal Cineworld is that by going...
First 48 said, Destin said that combat's really bad in it and his preview, and he loves Xbox. Well, Destin also said the Flash was too fast. So take what you want with that.
Bankrupts, they got cheaper rents. The only way they can survive as businesses is to break the entire economic model and get special treatment. And he says things like cost of going to the cinema. I appreciate when it's cheaper. Low prices get more people into the cinemas. What a surprise. How much is your popcorn again? I'd love to know. Can I get a can of Coke without taking out a loan?
What are you going to do to stop the crazies?
I do find it funny that he's saying Lilo and Stitch is a sleeper hit when so far everyone I've heard has gone, no, that'll be massive. Families are starving for content. Yes, they are with Snow White being here. But the thing is, from all of these CEOs, none of them talk about the ideology of the movies, the message of the movies. I've not heard any of them discuss why Joker 2 failed. Instead, the only depth you...
Yeah, no, Joker 2 failed. We know why it failed. But they'll tell you something completely different.
Get is, people say they want less reboots, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. Megalopolis was original. And a spectacle, but no one saw it in cinemas. Because everyone said it was crap. It seems...
Which one? Wait. Megalopolis. Okay.
Megalopolis was original and a spectacle, but no one saw it in cinemas. Because everyone said it was crap. It seems beyond them to independently judge a product on its quality. All they see is one movie.
He did say it, Nate. He did. Destin said that The Flash was too fast.
Second movie, third movie, all equal. That one was a sequel. Must be pro-sequel. You can only judge things in data and numbers. Is that Joker 2, Megalopolis, is the same as any other movie. That Lilo and Stitch will perform well because it's a family thing. Nothing about the...
See, and that's another thing. We're already assuming... Now I've said Minecraft's going to do well. It's not getting great reviews. Okay. But Minecraft, and I'm thinking Corporo, okay? The corporate world looks at this and says, well, Minecraft's the largest game in the world. So obviously if we make a movie about it, it's going to sell a shit ton of tickets. Okay. But then they made Minecraft what it is. And you look at that and go, what the fuck is that? That's not Minecraft. Okay. Now, it could make a shit ton of money, or maybe it doesn't. I think it will just because of the brand of Minecraft. And that's what Corporo is thinking of, right? Corporation, the companies are thinking, well, we got Minecraft. So obviously it's got to be good because it's Minecraft. But it has nothing to do with Minecraft.
Actual content of what is in Lilo and Stitch. And he talks how recliners, something that do make the experience better because they're bigger, comfier chairs, are the worst thing to happen to theaters because you sit in a 600...
Wait a minute. What's the worst thing to happen? Let me rewind.
Content of what is in Lilo and Stitch. And he talks how recliners, something that do make the experience better because they're bigger, comfier chairs, are the worst thing to happen to theaters because you sit in a $600 chair for $12 rather than the plastic one for $100 at a...
Oh my God. This guy, not Disparo, the guy who wrote this and said this, recliners are the worst thing that happened to theaters because the economics don't make sense. People go to sporting events and pay north of $100 to sit on a plastic chair and create the expectation where someone's $12 to $15 ticket, they should sit at $600 chair. Are you to take a nap or sit up and pay attention to the actual thing in front of you? They tend to disguise it because of the catch a lot of food on the sides. Bro, tell me you know nothing about fucking sporting events and movie theaters. Okay? Where is this thing? Do I have where's the one? Hold on a second.
You just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
The fact that he compared the plastic seats in a stadium, first of all, when you go to a sporting event or you go to a concert, majority of the time you're fucking standing, okay? Because you're up and about because you're cheering, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, right? You're doing a whole bunch of shit at a sporting event, okay? And yes, $100. So what are you saying? That you want the theaters to have plastic fucking chairs like a sports arena, okay? And then also charge $100 for seats inside a movie theater because it is not cost effective? Like, do you believe the words that come out of these corporate guys' mouths? Amazing. What they forgot to tell you was the suites that are also in the sporting arenas, where they pay thousands of dollars to sit in nice, comfy chairs that also recline. People serve food to you. You're also here for a movie where you sit down and want to be comfortable, because if I wasn't comfortable in your theater, I would get up and leave.
A sporting event? But yeah, but that's because the sporting event is worth more. People value it more. Your movies are awful, so you have to give them really nice chairs to even be bothered to go. And that's why they're missing this incredibly basic point. Will lead them to do things like, we should have texting in the cinemas or illegal substances.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
To give them really nice chairs to even be bothered to go. And that's why they're missing this incredibly basic point. Will lead them to do things like, we should have texting in the cinemas or illegal substances. Make people sing along.
Food. What are we talking? These people are so out of touch, man. These people that run these companies are so out of touch. They have no idea what to do.
Drinks, barbecue pits,
bouncy castle. All these ideas will make people not go to your cinema and make the experience worse. But as long as you refuse to talk about the actual movies and the people making them, you're going to be reupholstering.
You don't have to do any of this shit, as Disparu just said. Just make a good movie. You make a good movie, everything else will fix itself.
The deck chairs. Trying everything from pickleball to cocktail bars. Because it's definitely...
Bring audiences back from pickleball to cocktail bars.
the Titanic's fault that it sank. I have to say, this list of the coolest...
What is that? See our list of coolest movie theaters.
movie theaters in the world.
Is that a fucking bookstore in the theater? What? Is that a bookstore in the theater?
It's like, there's a bookstore in the cinema. Why? I'm so confused. And I just thought this comment really summed it up with, make better movies that people want to see was not a suggestion.
It's so ridiculous.
3 out of 4 of these suggestions are distractions from watching the movie.
Yeah. Why don't you text while you're watching the movie? That'll bring people back. Why don't you have the guy next to you smoking weed? Not that I have any problem with that, okay? But it's like, what are we talking about?
Which, when the movies are this crap, actually probably does make sense. If you don't want to update your ideology, then getting people off their face is probably the only way they can suffer through them. Fandango want loyalty programs, pre-ordering concessions, and alternate content.
Pre-ordering concessions. You think that's going to bring people back to the theater? They're like, oh, great, I can get my food before I get there that I don't want to sit.
It says revive people going to moviegoing, but it basically seems like his company, which bought Rotten Tomatoes, just want you to buy through them. So is that why you can pre-order concessions on an app? Because it's on an app, it doesn't feel like you're spending as much money, so you'll buy the overpriced popcorn and the ridiculously priced snacks on the app. All you're doing is redirecting their purchases through you, so you can make money individually. I can understand why you want it.
They're not trying to help the theater. They're trying to get the money and take a percentage from the theaters that they already take. Now Fandango's trying to put their money into that?
Just don't know how this is going to revive moviegoing. He even says, historically, this is one of the worst marches of all time.
It is. They have not... Think about this. First time ever in the history of movies that in the month of March, 3 weeks in a row, the combined total of the movie industry didn't surpass $50 million.
But if you look just previous to that, they blame fewer movies and shows, brought production to a standstill, things the actors and the writers did. Punish them, cut their wages, fire them all and hire good people. No, we'll just keep going, folks, doing what we've always done with the same people, the same belief system. And what did they make during this time? Well, they made Snow White and Mickey 17. They failed to resonate because they were awful ideological set pieces for the worst people in your industry. But they don't evaluate movies like that. It's a movie, it's the same as anything else. And it's not like the movies can't be successful in streaming. Wicked made $100 million just on video.
Look at that, right? They made a movie. It made really good money in the theaters. And then they paid on video on demand. And it made an additional $100 million, right? Why? Why, chat? Why did this movie was successful in the theaters? It made $600 or $700 million. And then also made an additional $100 million on paid VOD. Why? Anybody? It's because it was a good movie. Because it was a good movie.
On demand. And while it was a popular movie at the cinema, it wasn't anything unique. It made $743 million across the world. Well, when the industry used to use billion as a...
No, it made more money domestically. Because of China. You got some really bad takes, 48 Gaming.
Mark. 743 is decent. It's not exceptional, or it shouldn't be if you make quality movies.
You're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
Nobody saw it once. Nobody saw Madam Web once.
We have reached a point where talking about the lack of originality in Hollywood is now a cliche, but it's also still correct. It's just so correct that everyone has noticed it, everyone is saying it.
Commenting on the lack of originality in Hollywood today has become cliche, but films can be as many of the best are original works of art.
But they're not doing anything to fix it, so you just have to keep saying it. It's almost like if they keep doubling down on the mistakes of the past, eventually people get bored of talking about it, and they think that'll go away. Even if everyone went away, the audience still won't go and see your bad movies. When you talk about lack of originality when there are 140 movie sequels currently on the way. One I actually thought was a...
Holy shit. 140 movie sequels currently on the way. What are we talking about? They just said original movies, and they have 140 movie sequels coming out.
But lack of originality when there are 140 movie sequels currently on the way. One I actually thought was a meme, genuinely thought it was an April Fool's joke, is when I found out that The Hunger Games was getting another sequel. The last one with Rachel Zegler barely broke even, but we've got to have another one of that.
Because Hunger Games sells, but it didn't sell. But it could sell because of Hunger Games.
I think these games are going to be different. Like the fact we're making a movie that's exactly the same as the others. And it's not just the movies and the scriptwriters which are a problem. It's your actors.
Oh, we went over this the other day. Why Star Wars failed is because we don't like black people in Star Wars. That's what John Boyega said.
Tell you, Star Wars always had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. Cookie chips are on the cookie dough. I'm like, bruv, they just scattered that in.
I'm like, bruv, in it, bruv. Yeah.
Why'd you take the job then, John? Why'd you take the job, John? Why did you take the job in Star Wars if they just sprinkle them in there?
Bro, Scott scattering it in the cookie dough, in it like. It's like they let you into black tie events just so the aristocracy can feel like they're slumming it for a bit.
You are poor, so you will like this.
And when he's not doing it, Rachel Zegler is poisoning the box office. Pedro is poisoning the box office. A guy they cast in everything.
This dude, man, that's right. Pedro Pascal literally called half of the United States Nazis. He still has a job. And he's in everything.
Despite the audience not wanting him in anything. And they're like, no, look, I'm a horrible person too. We know.
I didn't know this. He's supporting Rachel Zegler. Awesome.
Pedro doesn't bring people into the cinema. He scares them away. Definitely the problem with those seats, though, eh? If you didn't have recliners in the cinema, you'd make more money. The problem with recliners is they're too big, so you can't fit enough seats into a screen, right? Because what cinemas are really struggling with at the moment is overcrowding. One of the reasons
overcrowding in the theaters. Overcrowding. Yeah, look at those. Look at those ticket sales. Those are overcrowding ticket sales.
Recliners came in the first place is because you sold so few tickets. There were so many empty seats. You may as...
Just look at this. Combined total, right? Combined total, 21 and 22. Hell, almost at 21 and 22 is almost what this made. If you throw this in, it's just barely over. So 3 years worth of stuff makes in 2019, which is not really a good year.
As well improve and widen the seats that are there so that you can charge higher ticket prices. You don't even understand your own pissing industry.
First 48 says, I don't get what Rachel did wrong. She got hate. She gives it back. Fair game. Remember when I said, I don't know, about 5 minutes ago where you have really bad takes? Do you know the whole story behind Rachel Zegler? Or are we doing a game of telephone here? Right? The reason the movie bombed is because of what's happening over in Palestine and how she's against her co-star, okay, which is Gal Gadot. Is that how you say it? One side or the other, right? So as a celebrity, as a person that's in a movie, you probably shouldn't take a side of if one side or not is being genocide or not, and then go against the co-star who's from there. But, you know, that's just one of the reasons why she's hated, right? And then the other co-star was also hated because she was on the other side. And then that's just on top of all the other bullshit that came out.
And you're the CEO of a movie chain. This industry is just run by incompetence. You don't have to be a genius to work any of this out. It's very obvious.
Here's the thing, First 48. You're more than welcome to be here. Love more people here watching and coming in every single day, okay? But you'll find out real fast that I'll call shit out because I hate the game of telephone when people come in and try to say something to make a point, okay? And I'm also called out when I say something and people correct me and stuff, and it's all fair game, right? Just make sure when you say something, like Mo saying there's 70 million people playing Game Pass, okay? We call shit out here.
And it's still beyond them. Got Helen Mirren coming out and crapping on James Bond. Maybe actors shouldn't crap on other major franchises, eh? Call it professional courtesy, love. Not that you're the target audience of Bond anyway. This is the same as me saying I don't like rom-coms and musicals.
I know you're not doing it on purpose. I'm just letting you know.
Duh, I'm not the target audience. We have movies being made just to crap on the audience, and Viola Davis wants to be Iron Man. The clue why this shouldn't happen is in his name, but also actors.
Wait, what did I just miss there? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me go back. I missed this.
Actors shouldn't crap on other major franchises, eh? Call it professional courtesy, love. Not that you're the target audience of Bond anyway. This is
Helen Mirren on James Bond franchise being opposed to a female 007. Fundamentally, James Bond cannot be a female. I'm sorry. Cannot be a female. James Bond is a dude. If you want to make a spin-off, by all means, go ahead and do that. But James Bond is a dude.
the same as me saying I don't like rom-coms and musicals. Duh, I'm not the target audience. We have movies being made just to crap on the audience, and Viola Davis wants to be Iron Man.
Can't be Iron Man. Because one, you're not a man.
The clue why this shouldn't happen is in his name, but also actors don't seem to be able to stay out of anything. The amount of times I've seen these articles recently of multiple actors on a page protesting about something, they've signed some new petition to go off and whine about.
Mark Ruffalo is in more petitions and more things than he is in movies. He's in more activist things than he is in actual movies.
Something else from their multi-million-dollar mansions. Mark Ruffalo, always there. They love putting his name front and center of these things, and he seems to be on all of them. Well, no matter what it is, no matter how few pictures there are, Mark Ruffalo always leading the charge towards evil. My favorite is how he's urging Trump not to let AI companies exploit copyrighted works, which basically means he realizes he's so talentless he could easily be replaced by an algorithm.
That's right. Beta Hulk can be replaced by a bot. Actually, he is replaced. He's replaced by algorithm because he's not even Hulk.
By maths. Something humans didn't invent, they discovered. An inherent part of nature. It was inevitable that Mark Ruffalo would be replaced by the building blocks of the universe.
That's funny.
But to be fair, he has tried everything. He's even tried to linking it to wars. He just wants the technology banned. It's like, oh, look, it's doing bad stuff over there in another country. That's why it shouldn't be used in Hollywood. Please save me, Daddy Orange Man, is essentially what he's begging for here. Well, Mark, I'm going to need you to get down on your knees and make it lovely for him. I'm going to need you to go on national television and call him Daddy. I'm going to need you to beg and kiss his boots. If it's that important for you, put your pride to one side and submit. Because at the same time, you're begging.
I don't know if that's true either, 48, because Tom Holland, he spoiled all of Spider-Man multiple times. So I don't know if they fired him because of spoiling the stuff for Hulk.
Him for help. You're making movies deliberately aimed at attacking him, and
I understand one is Sony and one is Disney, Marvel. But when Tom Holland was in the Marvel films, he ruined it for people.
Humiliating him, and then you want him to do you a favor? You have no power here. But none of these problems will be spoken about. Maybe you'd have...
That's his name, Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man, is that right? That's the... Am I saying his last name? Is that right? Tom Holland, right? Yeah.
Have defenses against AI if people...
Blockage.
Liked the actors in the movies. If they started acting more like Tom Cruise and less like Mark Ruffalo, more people would jump to your defense. There would be more uproar if Henry Cavill got replaced due to AI than Mark Ruffalo. But no one in Hollywood has done themselves any favors. And so there is nobody chomping at the bit to save you. And that goes for the people that make the movies and the scriptwriters and everyone else. There's a reason why no one cares if you get replaced by AI. If all the talk about the expense of movies is solved...
Yeah, because the customers don't care how it's made. Look, a lot of people like sausage, right? Right? You like sausage. You wouldn't like sausage if you knew how it got made. Okay? Most customers don't care how things get made. They just want it to be good.
Because they use AI. Because all that money going into making the movies drains away to the people making them. And they're the ones causing the problems in the industry. It's their ideology they're putting into their work, which is stopping people going to the cinema. Not the cinemas. It's not recliners making the cinema industry die.
Right, it's not the cinemas. It's not the recliners. It's not all the other stuff. It's the fucking movies.
It's not having 2 trailers that go on for a minute more before the movie starts. It's time for Hollywood to stop looking outward at cinemas and the audience to blame them, and instead realize we're the problem. Because from what I've seen at CinemaCon, the people at the top of your industry don't understand even the most fundamental, basic problems with why people aren't going to the movie.
48 says, why are computer animations getting worse in movies? They don't look as good as they used to. It's because they're being rushed. They're being rushed. Technology is changing so much. The people that are actually making the CGI are not as good because it's changing so much. There's not enough people doing the CGI, and they're being pushed into studios that the CGI is being used for. and they have to get it out the door faster. So not spending as much time with stuff. So it's rushing the job. Minimal viable product, pushing it out, and then saying, don't worry about it. You're supposed to like it. And when you call it out, they say, well, you're just being nitpicky.
Movies. This is an ideology that thrives on public consensus and seeming like it's the dominant ideology within a system. And the only way you're going to change it is by flipping it. You have to remove any social benefit from supporting this. Only then we'll be able to get back to movies which align with the audience, to where the worst people in your industry are scared to put their values into it, rather than the values of the original IP, the source material, which is what you're making all your sequels off in the first place. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. More videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one.
We might watch him in the future for other ones. I like that. Yeah, the movie industry is in shambles, man, which breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Because I was in it for almost 20 years. I didn't do the CGI stuff, but I loved making films, and it just kills me that people don't go to the theaters. It kills me that the movies industry is suffering, and that movie theaters might close down, and like we get shittier CGI, shittier movies in general. Okay, it hurts. But yeah, that's just me. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below. This brew's link is in the description down below if you want to go watch his channel. Give it a thumbs up. It's good stuff. And I think that's the last thing we had. Yeah, that's the video for that. We had Laura Fryer. We did the Battlefield. Oh, the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is a quick one. It's not a big story. I just saw this, and I thought I would talk about it, right? First of all, someone a couple weeks ago said that GTA 5 wouldn't, or GTA is not going to come to Game Pass, and we said it comes to Game Pass all the time. It's been in and out of Game Pass. The FTC had a leaked document talking about how the FTC or Grand Theft Auto was paid $12 to $15 million to have Grand Theft Auto on Game Pass, and now Game Pass is coming, right? It's coming back to Game Pass this month. GTA 5 is coming to Xbox and PC Game Pass later this month, okay? The reason I want to bring this up is because, obviously, marketing is a thing. Okay, and I have a feeling we're going to get a trailer this month from Grand Theft Auto because this is going on to Game Pass later this month. And the reason that's going on later this month is because they're going to use this and this. So if they show the trailer, more people are going to want to play Grand Theft Auto, right? So new user acquisition. So people that are hyped up when they see the trailer will then maybe get to Grand Theft Auto 5 on Game Pass, maybe pick it up for the month. Okay, they might go back and start playing Grand Theft Auto again if you own Grand Theft Auto. You might go on Grand Theft Auto Online and start playing stuff. They'll have some more events. They have events all the time. But the reason I think it's happening this month is because they are going to show Grand Theft Auto 6 next trailer and announce when the game's coming out. Okay, so that's basically all the reason I wanted to bring this up, right? I'm not going to read the article or anything like that. I think the reason it's coming to Game Pass specifically in April right now is because they're going to drop the other trailer sometime this month. And when they do, more people are going to start playing Grand Theft Auto. Because anytime you watch a movie or see a trailer, all of a sudden you want to go play the game and vice versa type of stuff like that. So you're going to get hyped up. You're going to see and go, oh, man, I want to jump back in. And then that's what's going to happen. You're going to jump back into Grand Theft Auto 5 and play a little bit. You might get it. You might get it for the month. You might try it out again. You might, I'm so hyped. You know what? I might go back and play it now, right? Like that type of stuff. And this is exactly why they do what they do. Krebsy says they also, excuse me, companies also stop using practical effects. Yeah, if it's in camera, it's much better than CGI stuff. Sarge says 12 to 15 per month, bro. Not just one time. That's what I said, 12 to 15 a month. Yeah. Krebsy says, makes sense, and GTA 5 is about to get EOLD, end of life. GTA 5 coming to Switch 2 before GTA 6. I said GTA 6 won't launch on Game Pass. I can see it a few months later. Yeah, I wasn't talking about you, 48. We're talking about people say that Game Pass won't come. Like they said it's not on Game Pass. Like ever. I was like, yeah, it's on Game Pass all the time. Let's see. This is any stragglers before GTA 6. Exactly, Krebsy. Right? They're like, hey, remember this? It's coming. Let's get those last couple sales. Maybe we can get a shark card or two. You know? I think that's the reason we are seeing it all turn. I think the reason that Xbox is putting it and paying the money, because if they're paying $12 to $15 million, again, from the FTC document, I don't know if they're paying that much, but if they are, that there's a trailer coming out. and they want to capitalize on that. Let's see. Robert Jones says they're shutting down GTA 5 servers. No, it'll be up. He's just saying that as far as, why would they support afterwards? Like once GTA 6 comes out and they put the online, they'll slowly weed out, GTA 5. Obviously, it'll naturally happen where people go over to there. Mo says, Mike, hands down, game of the year is Split Fiction, period. I agree. I don't care what else games come out, Mo. After what I played last night and the experience I had, that's game of the year. Game of the year, hands down. That game moved into my top 10 greatest experience of gaming. It's in the top 10. It's such a mind-blowing thing when you're playing through that game. If you guys missed any of the playthrough and you're not going to buy it yourself or play it yourself, you can go watch me and Sarge's playthrough over on 30 and Still Gaming. Krebs says, no, GTA 5 will still print money even with GTA 6 release. Eclipse says, I love doing a rags to riches in Grand Theft Auto Online. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto Online. It's got to be 3, maybe 4 years. No, I never played It Takes Two, but it's on Game Pass, so we might give it a shot. You might give it a shot. I honestly, me and Sarge will talk about it tonight on GXG, but I absolutely love my time in Split Fiction. You can go watch the game last night. I had a smile on my face the entire time. There was a point where my brain was literally hurting. I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like what they've done in that game, the originality of it. Okay? The boss fights, everything about that game. And we said it last night. No one's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. They're talking about Assassin's Creed and black character or not black character, traditional feudal Japan. They're talking about a Veilguard. They're talking about all these other things. And yet, make a game, sell a game, Split Fiction, put a game out there, $50, mind you, $50, okay? And 2 people can play the game for the price of $50. And nobody talks about it. They just say, oh, it's a good game. Yeah, it got scored, but no one's talking about the game. It's amazing to me. They would rather talk about stupid shit than talk about a game that's mind-blowing and what they've done. And the bar that it's raised up. It was so good. So good. No, Mike, you got to give it a shot. We will. I just don't know when. Maybe we'll do it next week. Maybe we'll start next week. I don't know if Sarge wants to continue playing games like that or we want to take a break for a bit and then play it over maybe the summer or something. It Takes Two had the same effect on me. I wonder if I would feel it's game of the year. This Split Fiction, Saint, 100%. If you thought you played Take Two, because I know what It Takes Two is. If you played that and it won game of the year, I know what that game is, but I've never played it. This game's going to win game of the year. And if it doesn't, it's a shame. Because what it's done fundamentally, creativity-wise, okay, Split Fiction is amazing. Amazing. So good. The pacing is fantastic. They literally give you like parts in the game where you kind of like take a break, right? It's like smaller little bits and pieces. It's done so well. Kuda Papa says, I need a girlfriend so I can play both of the games. Get someone. Rent somebody. Pay someone to come over and be like, hey, you want to come back to my house? And they'll be like, what are we doing? We're going to do some Split Fiction, baby. And they're like, what's that? And they sit down, they're like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Yeah, you can do that, Kuda Papa. Split Fiction looks cool, but I don't like people enough to play 2-player. I totally get that. It's a fantastic game. Fantastic game. Yeah, Ron. Split Fiction and chill. They come back, they think they're actually going to do something, and no, you're just playing Split Fiction. Yeah, I'll do anything you want. Okay, Split Fiction, here you go. Here's your controller. X is jump, or A is jump, X is dash. She's like, the fuck? I thought we were doing something. We are. Settle down. You're wasting my time. We gotta get this game going. If it all works out, you'll be back next week. Yeah, here, play Split Fiction with me. That's right. It's like, chop, chop. You're on the clock. I don't have time for chatting this here. Come on. Let's go. Yeah, that's right, Sarge. At least 3 dates. Hell, that could be a whole business. You just rent yourself out to play co-op with people. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, real quick, let's go to Twitter and see what what the morning scroll's doing. Let's see what we're doing on the morning scroll. See if any quick news happening. We'll be back tonight, GXG, 8 p.m. Eastern, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories of the past week and we rant along the way. Join me and Sarge tonight. People already rent themselves for Destiny carries, don't they? Well, that's true, they do. I'm just talking about, like, just straight up, like, rent a friend. You know what I mean? Someone to hang out with just to play co-op games. Yeah. You're like, no, seriously, these guys pay me to play games with them. They're like, yeah, sure. You're doing anything else? They're like, no, I literally just go to their house and I play these games. What kind of games? Like sexual stuff? No, just a video game. Just playing video games. Emma Frost and Ultron. So where the fuck is Blade? Where's Blade? Are they not bringing Blade in, or they bring in 3 characters this season? Man, there's a lot of news stories, Krebsy. Did you throw all those in there? You did. Jesus, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of fucking stuff. Uh-oh, what's Gemini doing? Google, not that Google has the best intentions, Google is shipping Gemini models faster than its AI safely reports. They're just putting it out there. Google is shipping Gemini models faster than AI safety reports. Right? It's not safe yet, and they're putting them out there like, yeah, ship it out there. It's fine. It'll be fine. Just do it. Ubisoft closed another studio. Who could have seen it coming? Blade will return in Avengers Doomsday. Not only did they cancel the movie, they canceled the character. You're playing with the joystick, just not the one for the game. Clip says, I knew it, even I called it yesterday. Blade will return in the Avengers Doomsday. Yeah. What type of character is Emma Frost? Because Ultron's is a healer, isn't he? Saint says, I think a joke. Self-driving cars fails in Wile E. Coyote test and drives right into the picture. I think that's the... If you're talking about the Mark Rober video, he's under a lawsuit right now because there's evidence in his video, if that's what you're talking about, Saint. Because he did a test with 2 different car companies. One with the camera system that does like LiDAR, and one that uses just the pictures what Tesla does. And Tesla had an automatic autopilot that he said he had on, but then he didn't have on. He like shut it off at the end. You could see the light turn off on the dashboard, and then he crashed through the wall. Like the actual thing would have stopped, but he did it. So now Tesla, I think, is suing Disney and Mark Rober for doing false, because it hurt Tesla because of false accusations. Frost is a tank? Okay. Look, see? Here's an article. Jez Gordon says, Nintendo Switch 2 reveal reminded me how much I take Xbox for granted. The Nintendo Switch 2 revealed reminded me how much I take my Xbox for granted. Out of abundance of morbid curiosity, I found myself watching a Nintendo Switch 2 live stream yesterday, despite being somewhat lapsed by Nintendo fan. As a kid, I grew up in the 90s. I was amongst many other British peers, and I also priced out the market of Nintendo's expensive games and consoles, Sega offering a generally more affordable, accessible, and I also an impressive slate of executive content, its own right. Okay, as such, I have very little nostalgia for Nintendo aside of my Pokemon and Metroid, but poor management and modern games also diminish those aspects of Nintendo for me as well. In that case, I could preface this with saying that this is just in my opinion. I have someone who is also compelled by the latest iteration of Mario Kart or Kirby. My backlog of Xbox and Steam is vast enough that I'll never be short of things to do or play, but I was also curious on how Nintendo might push the innovation of the handheld form factor, particularly given me on Microsoft is exploring its own Xbox handheld both internally. It says, we also felt after watching Nintendo Direct was tad be amused, really. A device that also might have been impressive performance was wise a few years ago with the features that are also available today. Competing products while also pushing out the industry to adopt the $90 games as standard simply reminds me of how much I can take my Xbox for granted. $90 games are going to become the norm, not for me. Perhaps the biggest controversy of Nintendo Switch 2's argument is the revelation that Nintendo's flagship games will retail for $90 on physical cards. Physical cards, not physical games. Okay, $80 digitally. That's a huge markup from $70 standard today, and will push games over $100 in some territories due to currency conversions, tariffs, and whatever else. As someone who also has nostalgia about Nintendo's franchise, there's also a universe exists where also Kirby and Mario Kart, Pokemon, Zelda, and whatever else is worth $90. He says, I paid $90 for collector's editions and a few franchises I truly adore, like Diablo, World of Warcraft, The Witcher, but standard version with no additional content or merch. For the price of 3 flagship Nintendo games, you could buy an entire year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. As every single recent Microsoft property available, as well as Xbox Cloud Gaming, access premium extras and free-to-play games, PC Game Pass includes hundreds of third-party games and much, much more. Okay. Paris says, saying that the games were $100 in the 90s isn't the reason to justify prices steadily rising in 2025, especially when your salaries aren't rising as well. Preach, Paris. Preach. Okay. Steam is also customer first, which it also approaches the pricing and notoriously generous sales events and generally lower standard costs for premium games. Although some publishers also have been making an effort to match that, Nintendo games are notorious for some almost never. Let me close that. Also never going on sale, but the market dictates, and many don't seem to care about that. But globally, purchase power isn't exactly going up right now. Beyond the point of purchase price, every modern Microsoft game comes from Xbox Play Anywhere as a standard, meaning that you also can buy it once and get the version playable across both console and PC. More and more of those games are also being greenlit on Xbox Cloud Gaming as well. You also get much more for a $70 premium purchase of Xbox game than you do with the $80 or $90 Nintendo Switch 2 game. Although, let's be real, Nintendo makes this a standard entry price for premium games. It's only a matter of time before Xbox, PlayStation, and other publishers follow suit, of course, because they're all in bed together. Let's be honest. Okay. In that world, Xbox and PC Game Pass become even more attractive options through reminding me of how much value we're actually getting. It's easy to take that for granted. Make the problem, sell the solution. Okay. Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be priced similar to the Xbox Series X, trading performance for portability, and the $499 bundle comes with Mario Kart World. It will most likely be in stock most retailers carry. will be also $449 option without a game. But as of writing, the Xbox Series X 1 terabyte version is currently $439 on Amazon, making it even cheaper. The Xbox Series S is even cheaper at $284 on Amazon and will run most games comparable to the Nintendo Switch 2. It won't be as long until we start seeing commentators who decry that 30 frames per second in games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring on the Xbox Series S as being totally fine on Nintendo Switch 2. But sure, you can't take your Xbox Series X or S with you and play on a plane or a train. Well, technically you could. They make an adapter piece for the Xbox Series S, and people have done it. So perhaps it's better for compare the Nintendo Switch 2 to the Steam Deck or the Asus ROG Ally when speaking raw from Factor. If the Steam Deck probably isn't as powerful as the Nintendo Switch 2, particularly so when the dock, but Asus ROG Ally AMD Z1 Extreme is likely at least comparable. We won't know for sure how powerful and comparable the devices are in the real-world test until Nintendo Switch 2 launches, but worth noting that the Asus ROG Ally is almost 2 years old at this point, and the Steam Deck is 3 years old. The ROG Ally is $499 on Amazon, as of writing, and comes with the full force of Steam, Xbox games, and third-party PC launcher for things like Genshin Impact. It also has full power of Windows 11, and with thousands of compatible accessories, mods, and games, and brand configurability, the Steam Deck offers similar and comes in at far cheaper than Nintendo Switch 2 as well. Okay? It's true. The Nintendo's interface is going to be far more usable than the Windows on the ROG Ally, though, and that's something that Microsoft is working hard to rectify. But at least for now, Nintendo's usability edges for youngsters and older gamers who aren't necessarily interested in dealing with Windows or Steam OS. Okay? All pack of one portable TV dock, console-style device. For all the usability of Nintendo Switch operating system is notorious for no frills, I would say that things like the cloud saves and backups didn't launch with the original system, and even then, it wasn't for every game. I seriously take granted Xbox and Steam free blanket cloud saves system when also used with other devices also takes for granted Xbox easily social features. Xbox big innovation of Party Chat from yesteryear is finally now available on Nintendo Switch 2, complete with an optional camera feature and also an auto green screen. Xbox delivers this with the Xbox One and Connect back in 2013, which is Skype integration, of course. And the Xbox Series X/S was also full Discord integration, which offers the same feature set without the direct game integration. When taken separately, the Nintendo Switch 2 is likely not as open versatility of the ROG Ally and the powerful also the Xbox Series X or S, but the packed portability and usability into a single package more eligibility for competitors. Right, so for sure, Nintendo deserves huge amount of credit for innovation of the Nintendo Switch, which has driven into tens of millions of sales and also becomes the most popular video game console of all time. But in 2025, there's also so many more, often better, more affordable options that also lead to near identical gaming experiences with oftentimes a better experience. But is that enough? Probably not. That's a lot more. We'll read it. The thing, though, the customers are necessarily the technology because of what's best on paper, but what feels good to them. Nintendo's curated level of consistency. Few other games and publishers can also prey on muster, cashing in the compound nostalgia, interest, and also build up for decades. This is a fun factor for Nintendo products, and games are also hard to put into words. Xbox had Skype with camera integration back in 2013, but they never took the extra step to make it fun, like Nintendo has integrated directly into the games. They also, before really talking about games, depending on the individual preferences, that might also make premium price tags more than worth it. Let's see. The Xbox social accounts remind me of users of some of the Nintendo Switch 2 games are heading into Xbox Game Pass. It kind of reminds me of the Game Pass doesn't seem to be a big draw that Xbox previously hoped it would be. The Xbox declining hardware sales are anything but speak of users seems content to stay on the PlayStation 5 and others competing platforms over the value being offered by a cheaper Xbox Series S or Xbox Game Pass for $20 subscription model. Time is infinite. And at the end of the day, perhaps having access to hundreds of games and a tad of overwhelming of aging variety of gamers also now have kids, careers, and increase the desire of simply collapse after work instead of engaging with the video game. Furthermore, a lot of the exclusive content on Xbox offers from Game Pass increasingly available on other platforms. There's also a strong rumor that Halo and Gears of War are coming to PlayStation, and most likely Nintendo Switch 2 as well down the line. Forza Horizon is no longer exclusive to Xbox either. Xbox iconic franchise associated with also sacrifice the help of business, keep the pace following years of poor decisions. Nintendo would also make such concession, which most likely to get away from selling games for $90 and selling a very iterative device of $450. So there you go. Look, this is what's gonna happen to a lot of people. They're gonna look at this. Surprisingly, my wife at dinner yesterday. She goes, now my wife is not a gamer, but she is a Nintendo gamer. Okay, she doesn't play games all the time, but she does play Nintendo. She always loved the GameCube. She's always talked about the Wii U. Like I bought her a Wii, or not Wii U. I bought her a Wii for graduation. Okay, when she graduated college. Okay, that was her gift because she's a Nintendo fan. So not a surprise, but as sitting down at dinner yesterday, me and my son are talking, and he's like, so what's in the new Mario Kart or whatever? I'm telling him, and she goes, oh, I might get the new Nintendo Switch, and I was like, okay. She's like, and it was funny because we talked about this yesterday. She got an email or something that told her about it, and so she applied for eligibility to see if she could get a console. She's like, I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I submitted, and I was like, hold up. I was like, you don't play games at all. The last time she played, I think she plays with my son every once in a while on Mario Kart, or she'll play. She borrowed a copy from our nephew for Mario Wonder. Okay, but all of a sudden, she's interested. I'm like, and then I had to go down the rabbit hole. Okay, because I was like, well, it costs this and this and this and this and this, and she's like, oh, well, we'll see. And I'm like, okay, so my wife might be buying a Nintendo Switch 2. I was just like, this is out of fucking left field. If they say 30, that means 20 frames per second. Waterbear says nostalgia is what Nintendo's banking on. Yeah, and that's what they're saying in the article, right? Nostalgia is a hell of a thing, man. Nostalgia is a hell of a thing. Mario Kart was the smartest game they could bundle with because they know it would sell, right? They know it would sell. W wife. It's mind-boggling to me, Argus. Like, she doesn't actually, like, talk about games or anything like that. She plays them every once in a while. She'll play. We play family night and stuff like that. But it was just funny. Me and him were talking about the new Mario Kart. She's like, oh. She's like, I got an email. I applied to get the Switch. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I'm not interested. Nothing excited me. Now, obviously, it is what it is. I think it's too expensive, $500 for the bundle, but that's cheaper than buying a Switch and then buying the game separate. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely, Water. The games look good, and they could also look fun, but also they're setting a precedence with their pricing. If it wasn't them, though, it's going to be Grand Theft Auto. If it wasn't Nintendo, it would be Rockstar, right? Or Take-Two. Kraken says, plot twist, she's buying it for Duskbloods. That would be fucking hilarious. That'd be hilarious. I'd be like, oh, you got a Switch too? What'd you get? She's like, Duskblood. And I'm like, who are you? Who did I marry? Did y'all talk about the anti-scalper features? We did yesterday for a little bit. Like, you had to go through all these, like, process. Like, you had to pay for, like, a year's worth of membership. You had to pay 50 hours worth of stuff. You had to be the actual person on the billing or whatever. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Yeah, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, Game Pass is actually looking pretty good, right? And that the same thing goes with PlayStation Plus, same thing with Ubisoft Plus, same thing with EA Play, right? Like, you just can't, the value is just ridiculous. Because the minority of the people that are gamers that like the 60 frames or 120 frames or keeping up with the Joneses, right? That's a very small portion. Everybody else, they don't care about the frame rate. They don't care about the other stuff. They just like, this looks fun. I'm going to buy the game. It's almost naive, right? It's actually almost better that they don't know about everything else. They just buy it because whatever. Arga says, I wish my girlfriend would start gaming. At least she supports me doing so. Most women these days are entitled and won't stand for a guy playing games, even though all they do all day is scroll through TikTok. Yeah. Well, that's much more effective. All right, it's past 1 o'clock. Gave you guys about 45 extra minutes of the stream. Appreciate it very much. We'll be back tonight for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. Appreciate it very much. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. We're nitty, tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Laughs and news, our winning blend, the show with you, our dearest friend. Comments rolling, chats alive, the daily grind, 5-star vibe. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Good morning, sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixels small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Come on in, your morning fix. Your morning